They've continued to work and grow and implement their program and are setting the foundation for what they want to get accomplished here over the next couple of seasons.
I think one of the most intriguing teams this offseason is the Miami Dolphins.
The Dolphins have the capital to do whatever they want.
They're competing and building a culture.
I believe in team. I would say that. If you want to strive to do something great, as a group, you got to work together.
You have a plan, you stay true to the plan, you execute the plan. The Dolphins, this is how you turn around a franchise, like this.
We're trying to build a team that's going to win right now, and we'll be very aggressive.
Welcome to the field, your Miami Dolphins.
We're looking for guys who are tough, who are smart, who are competitive, love to play.
They have landed some big fish. Love what the Miami Dolphins did. You're trying to build something there.
Patrick throws to the end zone. It is Parker. Darnold never saw the pressure coming, and he's leading. Ricky wide open. Touchdown.
Let's have some fun and play together, man. Win on three, win on me. 1, 2, 3, win.
If you can get a group of young men to band together, to believe in one another, to practice and prepare at a high level, then you'll win ball games.
Big man, touchdown, picked off by Bobby McCain.
What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we're back here with another one. And just like yesterday, I'm riding solo dolo like Ryan Fitzpatrick behind that god-awful offensive line last year. EM Dolphin may be joining us a little bit late, but guys, we got a good one for you tonight. Before I get to the intro for the guests, later on tonight, we'll be cracking these. We'll be continuing the hunt for Tua Tagovailoa autographed rookie card. We're getting deep, boys and girls. It's costing your boy a pretty penny, getting to the point where I might as well have just bought the thing, but it's all good, man. Where's the excitement in that, right? And I want all of y'all to join in with that celebration if it happens, because you know your boy's going to wild out like it's his birthday on that one. But I see EM's in the chats. What's good? What's good? What's good? So let's shout a few of you out before we get to our special guest tonight, because I see everyone. We've already got 44 people in the building. Rhino Sith, what's good, homie? Number one mod squad. Josh Fernandez, what's good? Finn Strong 1, what's good? Kiana, Finn's up. Havoc 1, what's good, homie? Dolphin 82, what's good? Jason Greaves, what's good, buddy? I appreciate the support. I appreciate you having our back today, man. But you know what it is. Let's not mention that name on this channel. What else we got here? Nico, the homie Nico. What's good, buddy? Ryan Nodell. What's good? I see Ricketic. Yes, sir. El Reezy 941 Fins fan. What's good, buddy? Tranquilize. How you doing, brother? Tom Brinkley. Where is the Tua fans at? Well, they're all over here because this is a Tua stand channel. Y'all already know that. Infinite Trauma. What's good? Big Dick Cheney, what's good, homie? What's good? I'll never get over your name. It's amazing. Clemente3472, what's good, fam? Damien, what's good, brother? Appreciate you, homie. Troy Hicks, who else we got rolling in here right now? Daniel Ashford, what's up, homie? How you doing, brother? Hope to see you on next time we open it up to everyone. The co-host, God, EM Dolphin fan, what's good, homie? Get home so you can jump in this. FM, appreciate the love on the interview last night, man. I think we really we brought some education to people. And, I mean, Alain Papar is great at what he does. Fantastic human being. Just an awesome experience. King Mill, what's good, brother? Joe B, the homie Joe B, what's good? Darth Vader, see you. All right, guys, so tonight we got a special guest, man, because, you know, I know we bring on scouts, we brought on analysts, you know, we brought on variety reporters, beat writers, but I also want to open this up and show you guys the part of the fandom that not a lot of people who aren't there in Miami get to experience, that being super fans, the great fans who dress up, go all out when they go to home games or away games, wherever they are, even some of them at home when they're sitting on the couch. God love them. So Tonight we got a very special guest, man. I don't know what else to say except she's a great super fan. You can find her on Instagram at DolphinsLady99. I call her the Dolphin Queen of Instagram. She is out there ground zero right now with her personal job, so you've got to show respect. She's one of the public workers that's doing a fine job and really on the front line against this pandemic, so you got to show her love for that as well. But back to the Dolphin thing, she's really doing some great things. She's got the Southwestern Florida Dolphin Club. She's rocking this whole ladies of football thing on Instagram that we'll get into a bit later on. But yeah, guys, without further ado, I want everyone to welcome Allie, aka Dolphreaky, to the channel. How's it going, Allie?
Hi guys, thank you, Reason. This is really an honor, so thank you so much.
Hey, it's an honor to have you. Appreciate you taking the time out of your night to come on here.
Sure, thank you.
So let's jump right into it. How did you become a Dolphin fan? What's the origin story of your fandom?
So I officially became a Dolphins fan probably somewhere around, I think maybe the year 2000. I was in 5th grade. So I'm starting to feel old now because I turned 30 this year. So now we're going like 20 years ago now that I've been a fan. But so it just kind of started with my dad. So we lived in Pennsylvania. I grew up there and lived there for most of my life until we moved to Florida about 6 years ago. So we always subscribed to the DirecTV Sunday Ticket, and Dad would watch the Dolphins every Sunday without fail. It was like one of those things where, you know, do not interrupt me when the Dolphins are on. And so I was pretty frustrated with that as a kid, you know, growing up and like having to deal with that. And so he worked a lot during the week, and then, you know, like the weekend was the only time I could see him. And so one day he's just like, listen, just sit down, watch the game, shut your mouth. And so I sat down and I watched, and I don't know, it took off from there.
That's amazing. Yeah, because it's great, you know, the father connection too, because I mean, I'm hoping to do that to my daughters when they're older, but same thing with you. I mean, one of the first pictures of me as a baby is my dad holding me in his Dan Marino jersey. So I guess I got to ask, because you guys are from Pittsburgh, right? You said? So
we grew up, I was raised in Easton, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And so he was a Miami fan because growing up, the Dolphins were good, and he had family from the Miami area. And so he was just a Dolphins fan. And naturally, that's how that ended up happening to me, too.
Yeah, I was going to just ask. I was going to say, did he watch Dan Marino at Pittsburgh University? I was wondering that's why, because of the whole Pennsylvania connection. So what made you become, because I mean, before we ask what made you become a super fan, can you just explain the backstory between the construction helmet you're wearing right now? Because I think a lot of people will like that.
Yeah, so obviously the Dolphins are in a rebuild right now. So my whole kind of theme last year, because of part of my super fan persona is just I try to like keep it versatile and, you know, change it with the times and the themes of what's going on with the season. And so last year, it kind of started with the stop tanking ordeal. And so I had a pink construction hat and a picture from the newspaper that had gone viral of me holding my stop tanking sign. And so then that happened to be during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so that pink hat then got retired the following month. And then ultimately this one, which is a little bit, you know, I can wear it more often. So
nice. And even your husband, right? He was wearing what do you call it?
A welder helmet.
A welder mask. Yeah. And that was awesome. That was amazing. It's always awesome to see like the whole family take part in that kind of stuff. So what made you step up your game from a fan to a super fan? Like, what was the moment where you're like, you know what? I'm going to put on face paint, or, you know, I'm going to take this to the next level?
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, when I was 19, there was a DirecTV Ultimate Displaced Fan contest. And I don't know who it was. Somebody told me to enter it. And so having lived in Pennsylvania, they're like, you know, you're displaced. You have this passion for this team, you know, from a state other than your own. You know, you should do this. And so as part of that, I had to write an essay and kind of go into, you know, how I became a fan and what sets me apart from the other fans in the contest. And I did a video. Mm-hmm. And it's a little bit embarrassing.
Is that still? Can I find that video right now if I look?
Oh, Oh my God, please no.
Okay. I won't. I'll find it on my own personal time and I'll let you know what I think of it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you later.
That's awesome.
But basically, I rewrote the words to Will Smith's Miami, and kind of changed the words to be about the Dolphins. And I had a Dolphins football themed bedroom at the time, and so I dressed up in my gear. That's basically when Dolphreaky was conceived. So the name, went along with that video, and so that video, I actually made it to the top 10 in the contest. And then I started to get a lot of publicity from that video, like on social media, and Facebook hadn't really been around that long. But I had started to get a lot of publicity from people down here in Florida. Some of the local news outlets like NBC Miami had written an article about like my quest to be the ultimate displaced fan, and I needed to get votes. So that was the whole thing. So I actually met a lot of other super fans through that whole ordeal. And so that whole experience was kind of what launched me into super fandom.
That's amazing. So what would be your best moment? Would it be when you made the tanking for No Tank November? Would that be your best moment, probably as a super fan at a live game?
Yeah, that was honestly last year, like despite what had gone on with the season and how conflicting we were over the tanking and, the tank for Tua and all that stuff. Despite all that, I really had the best time last year. I had spent a lot of my games in the deep end with the other super fans. And so we did get a lot of media publicity that way. There was quite a few newspaper articles that we were featured in. And so I did have a couple things that circulated just online. And then there was one from the Sun Sentinel that actually went into print. And so a good friend of mine sent me that. So I have that hanging on the wall. But yeah, last year was the whole, the media aspect of that was really fun.
Yeah, because I know people can only see a piece of it behind you, but you got a Dolphins woman cave that would make a lot of men and women jealous, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I don't know if I could show this. All right.
I love it. I can't wait till there's more Tua memorabilia hanging up there too. So how excited were you when we drafted Tua?
So I wanted Tua, but I wasn't really sure that was the move that the Dolphins were going to make. So it came down to the end where we're like, is it going to be Tua? And so we had done an online Zoom draft party with like Dolphins with Attitude, DWA. And so we had a couple people on with us. And so it was really, really fun to see, like when they finally announced the pick, to see everyone's reaction. And it was all the same, screaming, carrying on, ripping our hair out, we're just really excited. So it's great.
Do you, like, as you look around the fan base, do you think this is the most hope you've seen in the last 20 years? And can you remember an energy that was like coursing through the veins of this fan base more than it is right now? Like, because I know you were around when Ricky Williams came here too, right? Yep. So how would you compare the whole Tua Tagovailoa thing to, how it's been in the past?
I've not seen this level of excitement before. And honestly, like it feels like right now our fan base is kind of all on the same page, come from last year where a lot of people were divided about, should we tank for Tua and just completely blow the season, or, should we really fight hard and for what, maybe another mediocre season. So honestly, this year I see a lot of excitement. And it's interesting too, because of everything going on with COVID-19. And, we had the draft. A lot of us were supposed to go to the draft in Vegas, and that got canceled. And so we've had a lot of disappointments, but we're still excited.
Yeah, because we were talking before we went live. You go to training camp as well. So has this been kind of an odd summer so far to not have that a part of your plans?
Yeah, it's definitely disappointing to not be able to go to training camp or even to a preseason game. So I have gone to a few preseason games, and that's fun too, you know. So
Yeah.
I really miss Hard Rock Stadium, and so I did go to the drive-in movie that they had. So it's kind of nice to be able to drive our car through there.
How was that experience? How was that experience as a whole?
Yeah, it was really great. I actually did a little interview like a week ago about an article that's going to come out about that. But yeah, it was really fun, and it was just something to, you know, get the kids out of the house. We went to see Super Bowl VIII, so that was kind of, you know, different. And we just packed up our car and put all our Dolphins bedding and pillows and everything in there. And I felt like it was a safe, you know, it was like a good social distance activity that we could do with the kids. So overall, it was great.
So I know before we went live, you also said you have a couple crazy Superfan stories. Anything you want to share?
Oh yeah, I have so many stories. So last year we were at a tailgate and we're drinking. You know, we at the tailgate we love to drink and party and celebrate the Dolphins and meet new people, and you know we have shot skis going, and it's the best. And so I live for that. But so last year at the tailgate, Sports Illustrated actually came through, and I had just finished eating an empanada. And so they said, hey, I want to, you know, interview you about the getup I had on at the time. And so I was with two friends. I think it was Karen. I don't know who the other one was. Maybe it was Mirta. And so they're like, you know, this is like on the spot. Like, tell me what you think about the tanking and the season and all this stuff. And I had the empanada like stuck in my cheek. And so I'm like trying to talk to the guy. And he's like, well, let me get a picture. And so the picture that I have of that moment is literally with the empanada stuffed in my cheek.
That's awesome. I got to ask though, chicken or beef empanada?
Honestly, I don't remember. I think it was chicken.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So how do you how is interacting with other fan bases when they're coming to visit at Hard Rock Stadium because they're going to watch their visiting team? How's that been, as you know, as the girl dressed up in the face paint or with the wig on or in the whole getup? How's that been?
So I've been received many different ways. It depends on the fan base. If it's a divisional rival, you know, it's a little bit tough sometimes, but overall people want to get a picture. You know, they want your Facebook, your Instagram info, so you can, you know, connect that way. So it's fun, but I also do get ridiculed a little bit.
Really? Who's the worst?
Yeah.
What fan base is the worst?
Last year, the Buffalo Bills fans were pretty brutal. The whole home game that we hosted the Bills was rough. They were very abusive with their chanting, and yeah. So I mean, for the most part, they are really nice. Even like fan bases that I wouldn't really expect to be friendly were, like the Philadelphia Eagles fans were very nice to us. So it just depends.
So needless to say, out of all the teams in the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills are number one on your hit list.
Yeah, well, you know what? This is going to seem probably pretty weird, but I've never seen the Patriots at home.
Really?
Yeah. So I haven't really had that experience. And the Jets fans, I really haven't had a problem with them, to be honest. But last year when we hosted them at home, we won. So they left pretty quiet.
Well, so what are your expectations for the team this year if we get a full season? Like personally, you know, when the schedule came out, I told everyone, you know, if we end up 7-9 or if we end up 8-8, that's an improvement. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially given the circumstances of the world right now, all the new fresh faces, whether we drafted or free, especially the ones that we drafted, that will probably be depending on the offensive line, the defensive line. So as a super fan, what are your expectations going into this season?
So this is a little tricky because prior to all this COVID-19 nonsense, I was saying we were going to be 10-6 this year. Now it's so weird because like some of our big name players have opted out and we just don't know who's going to be available. Like, are we even going to be the team that we normally would be? So it's hard to say, but my expectation, I mean, I obviously want to see Tua play. I just don't know if that would happen. But I would like to see him play. I would like to see us be able to make big plays, get the ball down the field in a quick manner, honestly, like, just I think our big struggle over the years has just been we don't have big plays. We don't have big playmakers, and so now we finally have the equipment to do that. So I'm hoping to see some really exciting moments.
Nice. So, I know we talked about like what as a fan, whether super fan or not, what was the most exciting moment or what was the most memorable moment you've ever had at a live game, whether it was at home or on the road?
So, well, when I lived in Pennsylvania, we only came to one home game a year.
Okay.
And so the year that we went 1-15, the one game that we won against the Ravens was the game that we had chosen to go to.
Amazing.
So, yeah, that was pretty amazing. So I just, there was a lot of exhilaration from that. And so I'll always remember that.
Were you at the Miami Miracle?
No. So, but so we watched the game. Actually, my parents, they live in St. Pete. And so they came that weekend. And so I got to watch it with my dad, which is always awesome. And so, man, like he's a pretty quiet fan, actually. So I'm pretty loud and boisterous, and he's very much the opposite. So, he'll sit on the couch and just kind of like internalize things and like let it build up. And then, when they score a touchdown or whatever, he'll jump up real quiet and then he'll go back down. With the Miami Miracle, oh my God, he jumps. So I was pacing around, obviously, like pacing around the kitchen. He's sitting there on the couch. And so when that happened, he flew up out of the couch, started carrying me around the kitchen. We're just going nuts. So, I mean, that was, even though I wasn't there, it was still extremely memorable.
That's amazing. So yeah, were you watching the game with him last year when we beat the Patriots to finish out the season?
So I don't think I did. I honestly don't remember.
I'm sure he would have jumped up with that Gesicki touchdown, right?
Yeah.
What does he think about you as a super fan?
So he thinks I'm crazy, and so he honestly doesn't really come to the games as much anymore because the experience with me is a little bit different than his typical game day experience. So he kind of just wants to go in, he wants to watch warm-ups, and he goes in early. He doesn't like to tailgate or drink or any of that. And so with me, walking around, depending on what I'm wearing, there's a lot of picture taking and a lot of stopping. And obviously, I love to tailgate, so I have to do that. So he thinks I'm crazy.
That's awesome. That he's probably thinking to himself, what did I create 20 years ago when I told her to sit down and watch the game, right? That's amazing, man. That's amazing.
And the last couple of seasons have been so disappointing that he's even said, you're the reason why I'm still a Dolphins fan. And, that really,
that's awesome.
He's the reason I'm a Dolphins fan. So it's crazy.
But that's, hey, it's kind of like it came around full circle, right? That's awesome. What does he think about sticking with your dad for a moment? Was he excited about the Tua Tagovailoa pick?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, he really didn't say too much. But I think he's happy. It's such a great time right now. How can you not be excited about Tua?
I know.
He's amazing.
Just quickly, what are your thoughts on Josh Rosen?
I don't really have any thoughts on Josh Rosen.
That's all you can say. So
yeah, I have a lot of love for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think that he has a lot of grit and determination, and he's not ready to be done. And he is a playmaker. And so honestly, I'm sorry, Josh Rosen. I just don't have a whole lot of thoughts on you.
Hey, you speak for a lot of our fan base, trust me. So when you go to the whole Dolphreaky gimmick, what's been your favorite getup out of all the ones you've had over the years?
Oh, it's tough. That's tough because in the beginning I did a lot of face paint and the crazy spiky wig, and honestly, face paint is just brutal to do a game in Miami. You're sweating and it's flaking and it's just a mess. And so even though some of those getups were my favorite, they're not the most practical. And so there's been a couple times where I just go plain face, or I even go plain clothes, just tank top, hat, whatever. Just because it's more comfortable and I can focus on the game a little bit better. But I think so. The one that you used in the thumbnail for this was actually one of my favorite getups. That was we had traveled from Pennsylvania for that game, and so I just wanted to go all out.
Yeah, even down to the shoes. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, further expanding on that, because I know on your Instagram, you've highlighted like favorite pieces of the actual getup that you've had. So what's been your favorite actual piece of Dolphin clothing to wear in the Superfan gimmick?
So my shoes are definitely my favorites. So the shoes that I wear most often are like a wedge heel, and I'm just a crafty person, so I like to, make pieces of the costumes. So the heels they're painted, the wedge bottom part was painted teal, and then the top is like a fabric and it's dyed orange, and I have the same patch that's on the hat. I have those on the shoes, and I have stickers around the shoes. And so they're kind of like a one-of-a-kind item. You can't buy those because I made them. So I do get a lot of compliments on those, and people take pictures of them. And so they're my favorite. And they're very comfortable despite being heels. So I can tailgate, and some people are probably laughing right now because they've seen me fall down the stairs in the shoes.
That's amazing.
But I love them.
Okay, so we got to divert from football for just 1 second because we're on the shoes. Allie, I'm a diehard Pittsburgh Penguin fan. You're a New York Ranger fan.
Yeah. And I have the same shoes.
Wedges.
Yep. I made Ranger shoes.
That's amazing. So I got to ask you, I'm guessing you follow them pretty closely. Are you happy that you guys are going to get Alex Lafreniere?
Yeah, I'm so happy we got the #1 pick.
That's amazing, eh?
It's sad that we couldn't make it happen. We just got eliminated real quick, but yeah, I'm excited. I miss hockey, and that's another thing that Dad and I used to, we used to do that together too. So
that's amazing. Yeah, I had the same bond with my brother, right? So I was a Dolphin fan from birth, and I was also a Penguin fan by family by birth because of my brother. So I totally get the whole family bonding thing over that, man. It's special, you know what I mean? That's what's great. Sports not only brings people together, but it can get families together closer too. So it's awesome. So over all the years you've watched, who's your favorite Dolphin?
So my favorite Dolphin is Jason Taylor.
Oh.
So yeah, I know you probably thought I was going to say Dan Marino.
I did.
But so actually I could say Ricky Williams too, because those two players were huge when I first started watching the Dolphins. And so Ricky Williams, that was my first jersey I ever had. And then my second jersey was Jason Taylor. And so my kids, my daughter Mia is named after Miami Dolphins.
That's
and so
amazing.
My son Jace is a nod to Jason Taylor. So
wow. Wow, that's honestly, the Mia thing is amazing. I didn't even think about that. I might have to pull that on the wife for the daughter we're expecting in December. I didn't even think about that. That's amazing.
You know, I wanted Jace to be Finn so bad, and my husband was like, "No, we're not doing this."
That's awesome. Are you the bigger fan between you and your husband?
Yeah, so that's something that a lot of people don't realize, that he's not a football fan. He married into this craziness. So his dad is a Raiders fan. But again, kind of like a quiet fan, just like watches his games, doesn't get too crazy. I don't even know if he's been to an actual Raiders game, but my husband was more on the side of like BMX biking and like action sports, like that kind of thing. And so he probably didn't realize what he was getting himself into. But honestly, he's been so supportive. Like I wouldn't be able to go to all the games that I go to.
And he goes with you, right? He goes with you. Right?
Yeah, he goes.
Awesome.
And then even like the last year or so, he stayed home with the kids so that I could go, and just made a lot of sacrifices that way. So I appreciate that.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So I got to ask you this. Who's your favorite player right now?
Man, that's tough. But I love Devontae Parker.
Awesome.
I got to say, yeah. I mean, I think he's one of those ones that's going to stay. And yeah, I really like him.
Yeah, I should have gone to a Pro Bowl last year. So, but because of all your Superfan craziness, have you been able to interact or meet any of the players?
Honestly, no. That is where I am like severely lacking. Aside from training camp and getting a few, autographs here and there, like I have not really met anyone. I have picture from years ago with Dan Carpenter and Brandon Fields, but that's it. Like I've never met Jason Taylor. I have wanted to my whole life. Actually, one of my best friends who passed away last year, J. Dolphin Villa, may he rest in peace. He actually came upon Jason Taylor at one of, I don't know if it was a tournament or whatever it was, and had him give me a shout out, which was super awesome. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about, I'm going to cue it up here. I wanted to talk a little bit about, we'll get into Southwestern Florida Dolphin Club in a second, but let's talk about what you're doing with the Ladies of Football thing. If you want to just go over what it's all about, and then I'll show a little bit of that great video you guys put out. And can you also talk about the artists that a lot of people are going to be familiar with who did the song for it too?
Yeah, so Ladies of Football was actually not my brainchild at all. It's the brainchild of Evie Moran, who started this years ago. And her whole thing was to try to get a group of ladies together from all different teams around the NFL, diehard, like whatever level of a fan you are, it didn't matter. She just wanted to get women together because it's just the way it is in football. Like it's a men-dominated sport, and we had to find a way to get ladies involved because some of our best super fans are ladies, and they do so many amazing things. And so she started this group, and I had been a member of the group for, I don't know, maybe a couple years, I want to say. But just recently I had come to her with some ideas that I had for just getting like TikTok style videos done to try to get the ladies to collaborate a little bit more. And she was like, hey, like, do you want to be an admin? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Okay, yeah. So I started doing it. And so we're just kind of doing a few videos here and there and just trying to find ways to get women more involved in football.
Awesome. So I'm just going to show people a little bit of what you guys, whose idea was this for this video?
Are you showing the video
where you guys take
with
the
football?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my idea, and that was the reason why she had asked me to be an admin, because she really liked the idea, and she just wanted to find a way to like get the ladies more involved and show off the outfits that we do.
Awesome. So yeah, guys, if you haven't seen it, I'll show it here for a few minutes. I believe Allie's the third or fourth girl in, right? So just be on the lookout. We'll watch a minute or 2 minutes of this, guys, and then we'll just get right back into it. Honestly, that's such an amazing creative idea. Like, kudos to you for coming up for that. Guys, it's like 5.5 minutes long. A lot of work went into it. You can go find it on Allie's Instagram at DolphinsLady99, and it's on there, and it's definitely worth the click. So something you showed off in that video, Allie, can you tell us a little bit about that tattoo and the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, so I just got my tattoo in March. And so the inspiration actually came from a sticker that I have on my car, and it just has the state of Florida and the Dolphins logo. And so moving to Florida was actually one of my dreams forever. My great grandmother had lived in Newport Richey. And so as a kid, I was visiting her house and I just loved it. And she was right on the canal and they had animals coming all the time. And I just felt like that's what I was always going to do with my life. And then the Dolphins became such a big part of my life that after I graduated pharmacy school, I was like, that's it, we're moving. And so Florida is just a big part of everything. And then obviously the Dolphins. So I just wanted to get it this year because I had so much fun last year. And I wanted to just get a piece to really show off how serious I am about the Dolphins. And so I wanted to put it on a prominent part of my body so that when I go to the games, I can show it off. And so I originally was looking forward to showing it off at the draft, but yeah, that didn't happen. So
that's awesome. I know we talked about Tua. Are there any new players, whether free agency or the draft, that you're excited to watch for the first time as a Dolphins fan?
Yeah, Malcolm Perry really kind of spiked my interest a little bit. And just some of our existing players on the team from last year, like Mike Gesicki. I really kind of got to know his parents this year. They tailgate with us a little bit. So I just really started following them on Instagram and Facebook. And, when you kind of make a connection with the players too through social media, it gets your interest a little bit more too.
So what did you think when you saw him throw a football over a house, run through a garage, and catch it?
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
How did you come about befriending his parents? Just over a couple beers, or?
Yeah. So one of my good friends that we tailgate with, Gary, he met them on a plane. He comes from New Jersey. And so he actually met them on a plane coming down, and he was like, hey, you guys have to come to our tailgate at E12. And so they came, and, he's been bringing them for a couple games now, and they're just really, really sweet people.
What are your plans for this year if they're not going to allow people at the games?
So that's kind of where I think our fan club this year, the Southwest Florida Dolphin Club, is going to come into play. So Griffin Van Nest and I had been talking about this for a while. And so we brought in Keith Matheny, who lives, so Griffin and I both live in Naples, Florida, and Keith lives in Lehigh Acres, which is maybe a half hour from us. And so we all just kind of banded together and we're like, this is the year we're going to do this. And especially now with COVID and, not being able to possibly go to the games, we just need to have something that we can do to still make it feel a little bit normal. And so we're really trying to work to get some of the local fans involved for some get-togethers, and we're actually having a get-together next weekend on the 22nd at the Miller's Ale House in South Fort Myers. And so we're just going to do just a little bit of meet and greet, kind of a couple beers, some dinner, whatever, just to try to meet some of the local people.
Awesome. And is that probably going to be something along the lines of what you're doing for games, like get together at a pub or a bar and have some wings, drink some beers, and watch the game?
Basically, yeah. So the Miller's Ale House had agreed to be our hub. And so a lot of our stuff will probably be there, but, it's not necessarily the only thing we can do. At my house, I have 2.5 acres. We can just post up a whole bunch of cars and trucks here and have a crazy party, like a tailgate style thing here. We could do things at the beach or parks or whatever it is. So we're totally open to ideas, but Miller's did agree to be our hub. So that's what we're going to do for now.
That's amazing. So what are your opinions of because we've been pretty active with what's going on in the world right now, with the whole BLM movement after what happened with George Floyd. What's your whole opinion of Brian Flores? And, has he made you as proud as he's made a lot of us with how he's acted?
He is such a great person. Just the way that he talks, the things that he says, he makes you listen. His statements concerning the whole issue have been spot on, and just, I really, really, really respect him as a person and, not just as a coach. And I think that's the kind of leader that we need. So I'm really excited to see what he does for our team.
Nice. Were you planning to go to the draft this year before COVID kind of kiboshed that stuff?
Yeah. So I had my whole trip planned out, and I was so excited to go. And I have never been to a draft, so I was really excited. But I mean, seeing as that whole thing played out, like I really just didn't think that it would get to the point where it was canceled for fans. Like I just couldn't imagine that happening. But it's just a strange year.
Had you been? Would that have been your first time in Vegas as well?
No, so I actually went to Vegas last year with one of my best friends, Alyssa, and we just had the best time ever. So I was totally stoked to go back. And my husband hasn't been in a long time. So the last time that we had gone prior to that, we were like 19 and not able to drink and experience the clubs and all that stuff. So we were so looking forward to this.
You know what's crazy? I live just outside Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And so to hear someone say that they were 19 and too young to drink, 19 is the legal age where I'm at. So it's like 21. I'm just like, what is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I really appreciate you for taking some time out of your night, Allie. We're about 40 minutes in. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the Southwestern Florida Dolphin Club? Anything you want to plug, whether it be your Instagram, anything of that? I know you said you started a new Twitter account. Perfect place to plug it, because I'll follow you after you plug it here. But anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, so the Twitter thing I just started, I have no idea how to use it yet. So it's Dolphins Lady 99, and that's the same thing for Instagram. And then you can follow me, Allie Goodman, on Facebook. Ladies of Football is now on TikTok and also on YouTube and Instagram, so go give that a follow. Southwest Florida Dolphin Club is also on Instagram as well, but it's so new we don't have any other real platforms. Oh, we have Facebook too, and so we have a couple of our events already planned on Facebook. So our Southwest Florida Dolphin Club stuff is not necessarily limited to people in Southwest Florida. Ultimately, we would like to solidify an actual club with membership and like the serious local fans. But for now, we're just trying to like meet and greet people. And so even people from East Coast, wherever you're from, you can come to our meet and greets for now. And we're just going to see how that goes. So yeah, and then also I have I'm an admin for a page, Dolphins Nation 305 with Paris Love. And so that's a up and coming page right now. So we have a lot of positivity and just like fun stuff on there and just stuff to make you laugh. So I have that going on too.
Awesome. Tell Paris Love we said what up, because he's on the list. We're going to be contacting him sooner rather than later.
Hey, Paris. He's an awesome guy. You have to have him on.
Yeah, we're going to be reaching out to him very soon. He's someone we've talked to. And, look at what the cat drug in. My co-host, Ian Dolphin fan, has shown up for the last minute.
Hey, how are you? How are you? I'm good. I apologize for my tardiness. But life stuff is going on, so I'm sure you know how that is. But
I know how it is.
It's very good to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Very good. Very good.
So yeah, Allie, is there anything else? AM, is there anything you want to ask?
No, bro, y'all covered it. I was listening to you guys on my way home, and y'all covered pretty much everything. I really want to know about the player interactions, if past or present players, if you had any interaction with players, but you said you didn't. So
no, hook me up.
Yeah.
No, you hook us up. We need to be hooked up. What are you talking about? So,
I see what you're trying to do.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's very cool. It's very nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you.
So yeah, Allie, I appreciate you coming on. Definitely want to have you on sooner rather than later again, especially as the season gets going, for your thoughts and stuff like that. Yeah, until we do it again, don't be a stranger on Instagram. And also, we'll see you next year at training camp. You can bank on that. All right?
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much again. Thank you.
Thanks. What's good, home? How are you doing? How's your night going?
Man, another day, another dollar, man. I apologize. Man, but you got to get it when you can get it. You know what I mean? So
how are you feeling today after Tua's Zoom call, brother?
I am elated, my friend. Yesterday, seeing him finally spin that football, throwing those dimes, And then to hear him talk about, hear him talk today about his, how's it been since he's been, been in the building. It's very cool to hear, man. Very good. I just love that dynamic. The quarterback room with his relationship with him and Fitzpatrick, and then Chan Gailey as well, and obviously Brian Flores. Man, so much positivity. It looks like he's getting his career off definitely on the right foot. So just can't wait to see him spin it in live action.
Wasn't it crazy to you where last week Fitzpatrick's absolutely glowing about him? He comes in today wearing a Ryan Fitzpatrick jersey and even talks about how Ryan Fitzpatrick introduced him to his family over Zoom and stuff.
Oh, yeah. How cool is that, bro?
Like, you can tell the bond between them is really forming. And Tua even kind of glowed when they talked about Chan Gailey, too.
Absolutely. And it seems legit. It doesn't seem like, it's like a PR game they're trying to play. They're trying to spin on us as a fan base. It really seems genuine. These two really, are vibing. Like they really have, they really, really are comfortable with each other. And, but kudos, and that's a tribute to the professional and the man who Ryan Fitzpatrick is, to get to investing so much, outside of, football, investing in getting this kid acclimated, to the NFL life. And this is really cool to see, bro. No tension, no drama, again, like I said, I just want Tua's transition to the field to be as seamless as possible. It looks like we are definitely on the right foot, bro.
One thing that a lot of people came away with is something me and you caught flack for stressing over and over last year, bro, and that was how good of a leader this kid is. And
absolutely,
the one thing everyone came away from, even Omar Kelly today, was, wow, this kid just says all the right things. He seems like a leader and someone that a lot of people would be willing to follow here.
Yeah. And I saw where Devon Gottschalk spoke out about him as well. He was like, man, he's just all around a good guy. He said, that's my guy.
That's my guy.
He said, that's my guy. And he's an LSU guy. You remember he was.
Yeah, remember he had just finished making a crack about the LSU tape and how LSU.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
Yep. So this kid, he's got an infectious personality. He's got whatever it is, he has it, it appears. And again, it's just confirming everything that we've researched about this kid over the past year. Not only his tape, but off the field as well. So it's good to see, man. I'm just elated. I'm ecstatic to see this kid get on. The anticipation is like, man, it's like, I can't sit still anticipating this kid getting on the field. I just can't wait to see him. But looks like things, the Dolphins are going to take the approach, kind of like we've been consistent about in terms of Tua getting on the field. I think, according to reports that came out, a couple days ago about him taking over the starting position around November, December. And I think, to me, so I remain consistent. I think that's the best approach with him because, again, he's healthy. He's moving around. He doesn't seem to have any kind of lingering issues off of that hip injury. So, but I just think I would just feel much better.
He addressed it right away today, too. He actually addressed that, right?
Yeah. So, if that report is accurate, I still think that's the most ideal. That's the best approach, to finally, integrate Tua into the offense. I think right around that time frame in November, December is best, but we'll see. So
yeah, I mean, because I know you watched when we had Allie on yesterday. One of the things that worried him too was that offensive line. He said that is a viable concern, really, that offensive line and where it's going to be at. When it's time for Tua to take over the reins, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I got a couple of things I want to show the people here.
Go ahead.
We got, first of all, did you see? First of all, I know you saw the three throws yesterday where they showed the throw from. They showed the throw from Tua, Rosen, and Fitzpatrick. I know you saw all three of those. Remember that one clip?
Mm-hmm.
I guess people were talking today about how Rosen was the only one who threw behind his receiver. So, And there's no one there, but you gotta love it. But I wanted to show something here because one of the things you have highlighted, EM, is that what Jesse Davis said really stuck out to me and you. What Jesse Davis said, paraphrasing, was they talked about Tua. He did a Zoom session the same time Fitzpatrick did. Was he highlighted that it was really nice to see Tua come in, and he automatically didn't assume that it was his job, that it was owed to him, paraphrasing, but he basically was implying, what he was implying, basically. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to show something that kind of highlighted all that, EM, to everyone here, and I don't think you've seen it. It's about 2 minutes long. I think you got a game going on in the background. If you could just turn that down a little bit.
My bad, homie.
No, it's all good. I just want people to really see what I'm about to show them here. Make sure I got the right one here. Yes, I do, don't I? Okay, so I want EM. We talked about this. I want to highlight this. We've talked about they're different not only as leaders, but their humility level.
Oh, absolutely.
It's very different between these two players, right? So let's show this. Because I found this really highlighted that the best. This video that came out today. Mm-hmm. I want you to take a look at this.
I'm absolutely in the draft by far. I want to go to the team that wants me the most. I want to win Super Bowls, and I want to have the most. So I'm coming for Tom Brady's record.
You're the best player in the draft. You were, look at the numbers. You did it, so you don't even have to look. But you had 35 touchdowns and 3 picks. You were damn near as good the year before. The year before, you came into the national championship game, and you won the title in your first big spot as a player.
It's hard for me to speak about myself. So, all I can say is, whatever team decides to pick me, they're going to get someone who's going to work hard, who's going to be a leader for the team, and who's going to hopefully put the team in the best, situation to become successful.
Listen, you should be the number 1 player in the draft. I'm saying that you don't have to. Teams will regret it. I want to see. I understand the humility. I feel like it comes from your family.
I was pretty pissed off. I fell. 1, 2, and 3 went by, and just kind of went into a blur after that. I was really angry. Kids were passing on me, and I was honestly expecting to get picked at some point and have to fake a smile and go up and pretend to be happy. But for some reason, when I got picked, all of that went away, and it just went to straight excitement, relief. There were 9 mistakes made ahead of me, and I will make sure over the next decade or so that they will know that they made a mistake.
Well, it's only the first moments, but what is your expectation for being able to play this season?
For me, I think right now, I just want to focus on being able to get to know everyone. I want to build relationships with guys on the team. I want to dive deep into my playbook, understand, what I need to do to get better. And if my opportunity comes, it comes. But as
night and day, eh, brother?
What a joke, man. Look, see, you know what? I know people are going to take this the wrong way as Rosen hate, and they're going to think that this is something personal, but it's nothing personal.
Humility goes a long way, brother.
Absolutely. But look how arrogant that kid is, Josh Rosen is, bro. And it's one thing for Tom Brady to sit up here to be that arrogant. You know what I mean? And I don't condone that, but I'm just saying, he's built up a level of cachet in this league. You know what I mean? Drew Brees of the world, Russell Wilson's of the world. But this dude is coming into the league and he's acting like he's freaking. And what did he do in college to validate that arrogance? He did nothing in college. Absolutely nothing. And this kid, again, I don't want to come off as this being personal, but what a joke. He's a joke, bro. And I sent that actually to Great One earlier. And his reply, he texted me back and he said, I I know you in the comments. That's why I'm calling you out. But in matter of fact, if you want to hop on there, you more than welcome.
I dropped the link.
All right, so, you know, I sent it. His reply back was, "Ooh, that swag though. What's swag? You can only have swag unless you're backing it up on the field."
I was gonna say, you know what that is? That looks like a check his ass did in cash over the span of a few years, bro.
No, my reply to him was, "It's foolishness. It's foolishness when you don't have, you know, play on the field or anything to substantiate that, you know, that arrogance or that chip on your shoulder. This kid has done nothing, bro. I mean, and to be that arrogant, and it's according to the reports now, consistent reports followed him from UCLA to Arizona and also in Miami. The reports about Brian Flores hates his attitude. You know what I mean? And it's ridiculous, man. It's just time to move on, bro. You know what I mean? He brings no value to the team. He offers absolutely no value, period. It's just time to move on, man.
All right, let's move on. Watch this. Let's move on, brother. Let's move on to the future. Did you see this? Adam Shaheen today, our boy.
Look at that zip. Look at that zip reason.
One more time. Josh Rosen watch Josh Rosen wipe the sweat from his face because he knows his jaw is going farther and farther away from him by the throw. Look at that.
Yeah, man. It's just the Josh Rosen experiment is over. I mean, you know, it might not be official yet, but it's over. I mean, I don't know why we have a good portion of our fan base still holding on hope to this kid becoming something. He might become something later down the road, but it won't be in South Florida. You can believe that. It's just a matter of time. He's dead man walking.
So Kid Rascal says, I don't know the state of y'all franchise. Are y'all ready to compete with the Bills this year? I mean, that's up for debate. I mean, EM will say absolutely. Alain Papour from yesterday said no, basically, in not so many words. It's a matter of opinion. He thinks
what?
Yeah, he thinks they're deeper on both sides of the ball. And he said if Josh Allen takes a step forward, that they have enough talent on that team to go to a Super Bowl.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
He didn't say win it. He said
go get out the AFC.
But he said Josh Allen needs to take that step forward. I think he's talking about accuracy.
Well, yeah, I mean, they built, you know, over the last 3-4 years, they built a very, very good roster. They've amassed a lot of talent on that team, but it's all about Josh Allen. That's a big if, though. I mean, he's the most inaccurate quarterback, you know, in the NFL last year for a reason. So they brought in Stephon Diggs. You know, he obviously upgrades their wide receiving core. You know, they have depth at running back. You know, their offensive line is kind of it's up for debate a little bit, but it's all about Josh Allen. You're talking about I'm anticipating us matching up with them. I think we are built perfectly for all three quarterbacks in the AFC East. You have Josh Allen, with obviously we've highlighted his issues. Jared Stidham. It looks like, did you shifting gears a little bit? Did you hear about Cam Newton was taking reps with the third team?
I actually didn't hear that.
I heard it was on I believe Colin Cowherd. I believe Cam was taking reps with the third team.
Dude, I'm telling you,
that's interesting.
Listen to me right now.
That's interesting.
Listen, this is why they went and got Hoyer, because that offense is so complicated that this guy's not even going to have preseason snaps to go out there and execute that offense. Whereas Stidham, drafted by the New England Patriots, groomed in that offense. Hoyer, even though he's been a journeyman, drafted by that offense. He's been brought back numerous times because he gets the offense.
I don't think he's playing against us.
I don't think so either, bro.
No. I agree.
I agree. Stidham, bro.
I agree. But I think in terms of our defense, we are built perfectly for all the quarterbacks in the AFC East. All of them have their issues, and when you have cornerbacks that can play that coverage, that heavy, that man coverage, that's kryptonite to
Well, what did you think about
inaccurate quarterbacks?
Perfect segue then, Ian. What did you think about Byron Jones' Zoom today, specifically when he says that he believes when X is healthy, that they're probably one of the best duos in the NFL? And then when people asked him, how do you rank yourself? He said, I don't worry about, this is what I loved, I don't worry about being ranked. I worry about getting better with my technique, with my hands, with my footwork. More onto that than he was about worrying about rankings. But specifically, what were your thoughts on that?
Oh, I loved it, bro, and I'm in total agreement with him. I've been on record. You know how I feel about the secondary. Absolutely, bro. If Xavier Howard returns to his 2018 form, they're not going to be one of the best. They will be the best, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially in the AFC. I mean, really, you can make a case in the entire NFL as a duo. And then we're not even talking about the depth we have with your Nick Needhams and your Noah Igbinogheni's of the world. You know what I mean? So, and then what if one of these other defensive backs that we picked up, that we kicked the tires over on, and they actually turn out to be contributors this year? We could potentially have the deepest cornerback secondary in the entire NFL. And
and another thing I wanted to point out, because Alain, well, I call him Alain because that's the proper French pronunciation, but Alain Papar, who I had on yesterday, he messaged me today and he said, he's like, can you correct it with your subscribers? Yesterday, he said that we basically can't cut Xavier because of cap for 2 years. He looked into it and he said, this is the year we can't cut him. But next year, if he still shows up to be hurt, when he looked at the numbers, next year he won't count much against the dead cap if we cut.
Yeah, his contract was front loaded.
It was front loaded. We've been saying that since day one.
Right. Yeah, y'all been saying that since day one.
Yeah,
on other podcasts.
I think next year if we cut X's, I think it's a $7 million dead cap space. What I read on an article like last week, $7 million dead cap space.
Next year.
Next year. Yep. If we cut him.
I don't want to entertain that. I want X to be a part of.
Yeah.
No one wants everyone. Here's the thing. Everyone, even when I talked to Alan in our DMs, I said, I think the thing is everyone, including the coaching staff, not just the fan base, they want to see those two together for 1 year. What do we have? My thing is, because he's not a Flores guy, because if he ends up having durability issues with that knee again, people are going to start in the organization, third surgery, people are going to start saying, well, he's already had 3. That would be the 4th.
Yeah.
People are going to say, is it chronic? Do we move on because it's something chronic, right? Because, we've highlighted first-round talent, and the only reason he was there in the second was because of this knee.
His knee issue, yep. I agree.
Question.
But I think the best – this is the scenario that I would love to see come to fruition. We'll have Xavier Howard healthy this year. You know what I mean? And I want to see either Nick Needham ascend and take his game up another level or two, as well as Noah Igbinogheni. And I would like one of those young guys to slide into that number 2 cornerback role. And I would love to see Xavier Howard transition to safety. I think he could have a Devin McCourty type impact on this defense in the secondary. I just think his skill set, physically as well as mentally, I think he would be an ideal safety. I really believe that. You heard what Byron Jones said about X as a tackler today. Yeah. He said he's much better than me. I'm learning from this guy. That's what we talked about that privately. He's outstanding in the open field. So
and he gave him kudos as being a ball hawk too. He said he's trying to learn from X.
But Alan,
that ball.
But Alan kind of shot down the notion that he thinks Howard's going to get a look at safety.
He shot it down.
What did he say?
Yeah,
what did he say?
No, he said he's like, I don't think he's going to get a shot at safety because of the whole issues going on right now. Currently, he's on PUP. By the time he gets back, they're not going to play with that. They're going to want to throw him in the corner role because it's going to be probably week 1. You're not going to throw him back.
Well, not this year. Not this year.
Yeah.
Next year. Not this year.
Yeah, but we got to get through this year before we start talking about next year.
Right.
He's got durability issues where he doesn't perform, and it looks like the knee is slowing him down and taking away some of his explosiveness on his cuts, and you might have an issue.
If he returns back to 2018 form,
they'll leave my corner. Let's just pick everyone.
But those durability issues, this is inconsistency. If he comes back to 2018 form this year, I say we trade him.
We get as much as we possibly can for him because the durability issues, he's not going to fulfill that contract. It's an inconsistency. Every year we go into training camp, is X going to be healthy? Is X going to be hurt? Let's get as much as we can for him. It's like Bill Parcells says, better to trade a player 1 year early.
Well,
keep him.
If a cornerback needy team comes calling, anybody outside of Tua Tagovailoa, I'm gonna have a conversation about. It just depends on the price. So, but with that being said, I hope he's not. I hope this doesn't turn out to be anything.
He's
funny.
Always hurting.
I agree.
Always hurt.
That's why you need to move to safety. It will be so much. It will be so much less stress on the knees.
Yeah,
and
EM, this is his third knee operation.
Yeah, I agree.
Third knee operation, and you're already placing on the pup list. That's kind of nerve wracking.
I just want to highlight this before I'll let you guys talk about whatever you want while I open these.
And speaking, while we on CB, did y'all do any background research on this kid from that we picked up? I know he played in the XFL. I know he was a ball hawk in the XFL. But what's his claim to fame?
Hold on a sec. We'll get into that. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me plug right now. I've been waiting for these to come in since I ordered them. This is probably one of the packs I'm most excited about. These cards are absolutely beautiful, like stunning. And you can see who's on the front.
How much were those?
Okay, so US, you can't. I don't know if you can find these anymore because these were out back in April, right before the draft. These came out, and so 40 American for this in store if you can find it, and I think these are about 10 or 12 in store. I paid 70 American converted for this, so that cost me about $95. And then this cost me about $15. So yeah, I'm gonna get set up here. I'll give you guys the floor. You guys talk about whatever you want. I'm gonna be opening up cards in the background, and at least one autograph guaranteed. But you can find them in here, and sometimes these do have two. So
good luck.
Here we go, baby. You guys rock it. I'll be back in 1 second. EM round table, the original round table.
Gentlemen.
So Ian, what you think about that cornerback we picked up?
Well, I hadn't had a chance today, man. The last 2 days, bro, I spent sun up to sundown, man, on that grind. But I looked up his bio, his combine numbers, because I think he was signed. He didn't get drafted. I think he was an undrafted player. He went undrafted in 2017, I believe, and I looked up his combine numbers because I like to get into the physical attributes first before, that way I can get somewhat of an idea of what the player's capabilities are before I dig in the tape. But he's another athletic player. He has I think he tested 4.49 or 4.48 at the combine, or at his pro day or whatever it was when he tested. But another athletic player kicking the tires. I love that about this organization. They leave no stone unturned. I love that, right? You just never know what you're gonna find.
Yeah. Sounds familiar?
Yeah, exactly.
Very familiar.
So I love that approach to this front office, proactive, aggressive, in the relentless pursuit of acquiring talent. And that's a huge plus for when you're trying, especially when you're trying to build. So love it. Hopefully he can turn out. He might just wind up being a camp body. He might not. He might actually turn out to be something. But again, I just love the approach of the staff, bro. Just looking, scouring exhausting every resources, to acquire talent. So you gotta love that, bro. You have to.
So have y'all noticed that Gotcha lately now has been trying to get in front of the news camera as far as conferences and whatnot? That should tell you a lot that this year I think he's trying to step up as a lead on the defensive side. I'm not sure, maybe it's a contract here, but what are your thoughts on that, Ian? And secondly, we all know he's not a true nose tackle, but however, being that Raekwon Davis is a bigger more athletic guy, and what's his name, Benito Jones, the heavier set guy. Who you think is going to take more of his reps away from him as a nose tackle position?
Well, I'll say this about Devon Godchaux. I never said he's not a true nose tackle. What I said was the money that he's allegedly seeking, north of $8 million a year. I don't think his value at this point, prior to him playing this year, would warrant a contract like that. Me personally, I would either try to move him or I'm letting him walk out the door and collect the compensatory pick, which I think ultimately the Dolphins will wind up doing because he's a good player. He brings value. He's just inconsistent. You know what I mean? And last year was the first year in this scheme. And let's be real. Every player on the defense struggled at some point. You know what I mean? With consistency. Because it's all new terminology, all new schemes, you know what I mean? So it's going to be a learning curve for every player. So another year, him acclimated in the system, another year of physical development. I think Devon Godchaux, he has a role on this team, but not at north of $8 million. That's my whole issue with Devon Godchaux. But I think ultimately the approach of the Dolphins will be this. We all know how I love me some Raekwon Davis. We all know that. But he's a rookie transitioning to the NFL. Again, there's a learning curve for every rookie. And a player playing and you're trying to plug him in the middle and you're expecting that player to be an anchor for this defense this year. I think my approach, I wouldn't play him at the zero technique primarily. I think all of them, him, Christian Wilkins, Devon Godchaux, Benito Jones, Zach Seiler, situationally will all get looks at that position. But, I think the approach, I would play Godchaux there because he's more prototypical in terms of his height, weight, and, his size, because he's wider. He's a shorter player than what Raekwon Davis is, and he's a wider player. And I think he might be at this point, him being in the league 4 years, him being 25, 26. He's, I would say he's probably a stronger player, you know what I mean? Because he's had an opportunity to grow into it.
So how would you phase in Raekwon?
Well, Raekwon, I would start him at the 3 technique or 5 technique. I would start him there. I wouldn't start him over the nose, not initially, until he proves to me that he can be consistent with his pad level and leverage. Because you look at the inconsistencies early on of Christian Wilkins, you heard him when they interviewed him the other day. What did he say when he came in? What did he struggle with last year? Technique, hand placement, pad level. So I fully anticipate Raekwon to have, stretches of the season where he's inconsistent. That's just the nature of the game. That's just rookies. So Godchaux will be played there early on. He will get the majority of the snap count at the zero technique early on. Now, if, Raekwon steps up or Christian Wilkins could even take, I fully anticipate him to take an even bigger leap this year.
Do we know if Wilkins has put on weight or lost weight, or do we know anything about that?
Well, I told Reason the other day, a couple of weeks back, we saw a picture of him. He was taken with a fan. This was like I'll say about a month ago. I said, man, please, somebody get that dude a sandwich, man. It looked like he lost weight. I was like, man, get him a burger or something, bro.
You think he might be using him out on the outside more because of that? Maybe, I don't. Or he hasn't started to lift.
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean as far as outside?
Not so much in the middle or nose, but
yeah.
Maybe he just hasn't started to lift. Maybe he just is off the program.
And also, you want him. Christian Wilkins has a unique ability in terms of the interior players on our team. He's the only player that at this stage, because Raekwon could develop into that multi-dimensional player. But Christian Wilkins has that elite first step quickness for a man his size. So you can deploy 1 gap or 2 gap. You can put him in a situation where you want him to 1 gap or 2 gap. You know what I mean? So you want him on the outside because if you play him primarily on the inside, 85 to 90% of the time, the zero technique is going to get double teamed. So you want to put him on the outside to take advantage of when he's matched up one-on-one in a pass rush type, type capacity. So, but yeah, I fully think Christian Wilkins, because I've been on record. I mean, the perfect comparison from a physical standpoint, as well as his role in his defense potentially. And I saw how they deployed him last year a lot. Richard Seymour is a perfect comparison. If you go back and you look at old Richard Seymour tape and how the New England Patriots deployed him in their defense during that time, perfect comparison. And I think he has that kind of ability. So I think he's going to have I think he is going to have a big year this year.
I don't want to jump in anyone, but I want to talk about that Cam and third string. I heard you say that, and I have no idea anything about it. Can you fill us in a little bit?
Yeah, I think it was Colin Cowherd. You know what? It was Speak for Yourself that I heard that. Marcellus Wiley and the new co-host
Al
Chow. They were talking about Cam. They were talking about Cam taking those reps with the third team, and they were like, "Oh,
but EM,
okay."
You gotta understand, EM, but you gotta understand that Cam is going to a Patriots offense that's very difficult. For goddamn Fitz didn't get the damn offense till a goddamn 8, 9, 10th game of the season last year. I don't think Cam even know quarter the. No, seriously, guys. No, I'm being serious. Like I didn't know. I don't think Cam even know quarter the damn playbook. So I don't see Belichick say, "Okay, Cam, I know you a big star. You did this 5 years ago. Go play with the first team." I think Stidham still know more than playbook. I'm not saying Stidham is a better quarterback, but I think Stidham knows more of the playbook than Cam.
He might be better right now.
And they also said,
here's the other thing. Jarrett Stidham also learned how to prepare in that offense under Tom Brady, the master of that offense.
And also, they said that they also said on that broadcast that Bill Belichick is not changing his offense to accommodate Cam.
Exactly.
But someone brought up a good point that when what's his name, McDaniels was in Denver, he ran a lot of Tebow stuff. So there is something to that.
It could be smoke and mirrors. It could be, but I'm not fearing Cam Newton as well. He still has been one of the most inaccurate passers in the league the last 10 years. I don't care how physically.
Pocket passes horrible.
I don't care how athletic he is. He's still been one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks. And what I've been consistent. When you deploy heavy man principles and you have cornerbacks that can cover, that's kryptonite to inaccurate quarterbacks. Period. And you will see how it's going to play out this year.
I mean,
so I'm not running from Cam Newton.
Fortunate for our defense this year, the only quarterback we should be concerned about is Russell Wilson on the schedule. That's just my personal opinion. And Mahomes.
And we have to shut Allen down at some point. I just want to see it.
Yeah, he looks like a Pro Bowl every time he plays us.
To be honest, I'm worried about Drew Lock too.
I told y'all. I keep telling y'all.
Y'all keep sleeping on him. I'm telling you.
You know how much
he has weapons.
I'm telling you, man.
When we did that schedule show, I warned every single person in Dolphins land, watch out for this team. And, Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay behind you, they have a great offensive line that they're adding Lloyd Cushenberry to, a center who I was really high on. And then you go look at KJ Hamler, could be a number one anywhere. Jerry could be a number one anywhere. Cortland Sutton's already played handle. And then you got everyone keeps sleeping on Noah Fant. Noah Fant had a good
it's a solid tight end.
I agree.
Here's the other problem you got to think about. That defense is very good, and that defense that defense will give them favorable field position, and that's what'll burn people.
Where we playing with Denver?
They got a hell of a pass rush.
Oh, we played them home this year. We played them home this year or away?
In Denver.
No,
in Denver.
But again, it's kind of like Josh Allen. They have built.
Look at that.
Okay.
Hold on. That's a parallel. Look at how this is a base card. Look at how that's red.
That's pretty.
That's only exclusive to this box. Right here. Look for Mega Box exclusive red parallels, and I got the two of them. So that's a good start.
There you go.
Oh boy. Let's go. Sleeve that one up.
But yeah, Drew Lock is in a similar situation as Josh Allen. They've given him everything a quarterback could possibly want in terms of weaponry. They've got a competent offensive line. They've got a competent tight end. Very good players on the boundary at the wide receiver position. They've given him everything. It's up to him. It's all on Drew Lock.
Yeah.
Same situation Josh Allen's in. So
But I think he's more accurate than Allen. Allen is inaccurate.
I would say I would agree with that.
He is
Curtis.
That card's sweet though.
But I agree with you. All the quarterbacks in our division, I like our defense against all of them. And that's why I say it's not out the question that the last week 17 and 16, we're fighting for a playoff spot, or could I dare say a division spot? Because Allen's going to lose at least 4 games for the Buffalo Bills. He's going on his arm alone. He's gonna lose.
I'm confident that statement you made earlier. If X didn't go on the pup list, I was very confident.
Need him to step up.
Well, look at it like this. In terms of X going on a PUP list, that could have just been, he's a veteran. Coaches do that for veterans. They'll extend, courtesies like that to veterans just to shut them down. Continue, to work out. We know what you bring to the table, Xavier Howard. We know. So they're just shutting him down so he don't have to go through the rigors of training camp. You know what I mean? More stress on those knees.
I hope that's the reason.
I hope so too.
I really hope, because I was looking.
So too.
We know he's playing week 1, right?
As much as I was looking forward to Tua, I was looking forward to watching X and Byron Jones play together.
Right.
That's how excited I was.
He's gonna be out there week 1. That duo is gonna be on the field week 1.
That's a sick duo.
And see, also you can spell with the depth we have at quarterback as well.
Yeah.
You can spell Xavier Howard at times during the season. You know what I mean? Let Noah get first team reps. Let Nick Needham get first team reps. That continues their development, and it rests Xavier Howard. Hopefully, we're in a playoff, type of situation where we're contending. You know what I mean? So, again, it's a smart way this team, the approach that Flores has taken, building this team from the front to the, from the back to the front. We've seen the results when you have a very good to dominant secondary, the dividends it could possibly bring. Only if there is a question mark with this defense, for me to sleep better at night, I just would have brought in a veteran nose tackle, because if we can prove, especially early on, that we can be competent in stopping the run, I'm telling you, man, the sky's the limit.
That's been our Achilles heel for the last 10 years, man.
So,
yeah, definitely.
Giving up 8 yards on first down.
So, I was watching NFL Network, and these clown freaking reporters talking about Dolphins. And apparently this one guy kept saying they're missing a huge pass rusher. Now, I understand that the defense we're building, pass rush is not of the essence to me as far as getting sacks. But as far as pressures, that's what you need with the secondary. However, he kept saying that you need a pass rusher who could get to the quarterback. So what's your reasoning on, do we actually need a pass rusher, elite pass? He kept using the word elite, and I kept disagreeing with him. Because do you think we need a elite pass rusher with this defense to solidify our defense to go to the playoffs?
Was he pushing County?
When I hear people say that, my rebuttal to them is, name me the last dominant pass rusher the New England Patriots have had.
Challenge.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
So, no, I look at it from this standpoint. I'm not saying you don't need one. Everybody is looking for, a player that can win consistently in one-on-one type situations on offense or defense. Okay, that's the objective. But when you don't, reason. Hey, ball game said check your phone.
I'm not by my okay. Tell him to wait till
I'm sure he heard you. What was I saying, bro? I'm sorry. I had a long day.
You talking about elite pass rush? You don't need
him. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. In terms of the Miami Dolphins, I'm not saying play. You can't use an elite player with that kind of ability, i.e. Jadeveon Clowney, J.J. Watts of the world, Aaron Donalds of the world, Chandler Jones of the world. Nobody's saying that. But the approach, if you just go off what New England has consistently done over the years, that's why they build their defense from the back to the front, because they make the biggest investment in their secondary, which allows coverage and the deployment of heavy man principles. When your corners can cover longer, okay, if you don't have necessarily that dominant guy that can get to the quarterback in 1.5 or 2 seconds, okay, your secondary holds up longer, forces the quarterback to hold on to the ball longer.
Back stage, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming that's what he meant. That's why he was texting me.
Yeah,
man, what's good?
Ball game.
I've been sitting right there forever. He over there showing his cards off. I was like, man.
I hear you.
What's good?
But, just chilling, man, chilling. Just sitting here talking some football, man. Glad to see you. Good to see you, bro.
Yeah. I'm glad to be alive, man. Happy to be seen.
Yeah. But so when you have a secondary that can cover, that can force a quarterback to hang on to the ball 3 seconds or longer, and that enables, if you don't have a dominant guy that can get to the quarterback in 1.5 or 2 seconds, again, it gives them more time to get to the cornerback as well. And if you look at schematically up front, how they rely on the scheme to generate the majority of the pressure. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of movement. If you look at New England, and if you look at film on a New England defense, it's a lot of movement, a lot of looping, a lot of stunning, a lot of bringing 5 or 6 guys. So that's what I mean by relying on the scheme to generate the majority of pressure, as opposed to just isolating one guy and saying, go get the quarterback. You see what I'm saying? So that's why they make that heavy investment in the secondary, because they want those guys to be able to cover, force that quarterback to hang on to that ball, 3.5 to 4 seconds or longer.
Ogba showed flashes though of could be being that guy.
Oh, I agree.
Just
injuries. I agree. Ogba, in terms of ability, he's the only pass rusher that we have that that I think has an advantage in with tackle. He can beat tackles consistently with power or speed. I think this kid has a lot of untapped potential, and I can't wait to see how Flores deploys him this year, because I think if he remains healthy, durability is an issue with him as well.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? If this kid can remain healthy, I think again a lot of untapped potential. So
You said it though. Pressure in this defense, in particular, pressure is way more important than actual individual sacks. And because it's man-based, you're relying on footwork and hand placement of the corners to redirect receivers and not give clean alleys for the actual receivers to run their routes. Zone pressure schemes rely more on those guys to be individual sack getters and things of that nature, because you don't necessarily have, but maybe at best 3 or 4, an additional guy coming off an edge from somewhere with 3 guys rushing. You need a guy that's elite with hand fighting and swim moves and bull rush techniques and things of that nature. But when you got a man scheme like we got, it's all about what the corners do to disrupt the receivers at the line of scrimmage and throughout the timing, because 80% of teams' offenses are based on timing. And when you got a guy down in man coverage right at the box to redirect and put himself in the throwing lane of the wide receiver to the quarterback to the wide receiver, you don't really need nothing other than guys just creating and collapsing the pocket. Even if they don't get to him, just making him get the ball out a lot sooner. Don't give him clean throwing lanes and things of that nature, and getting their hands up is a plus that helps the secondary.
That's where Raekwon Davis is going to be huge.
Getting him balls, height.
Exactly, because of his height. Yeah. He's going to be huge in that regard.
Yeah. So I can't wait. I think we are progressing great in terms of what they did in the offseason and things of that nature. It still got to translate to the field, but I'm optimistic that the guys they brought in are smart enough to be able to absorb this scheme. Unfortunately, I still believe that the defense probably down the line is going to get wore down, because I just don't know. The offense got to give us a lot to spell those guys. Otherwise, they're going to be out there asking, and it's their job to get the offense back. But, after a while, your defense can only be out there so long. So
that's why that run game,
that run game going to be key.
It's paramount. It's paramount.
So
Now, offensive line going to be key too to that run game.
Yeah.
See, I think, unless Eric Flowers just takes a significant, if he just, is not
I don't
the player.
think Flowers going to be the issue, though, Ian.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Because, see, we can agree. We made, like, I've been consistent about our offensive line. We can agree on paper it's going to be an improvement. The question is how much. But, you know what I mean? You look at Karras in a run game. You look at Flowers in a run game. Those are two.
Davis ain't bad in the run game either.
Y'all see where they had Hunt taking reps at?
Oh, yeah.
Where?
Saw that. Left tackle.
Left tackle.
What?
Left tackle.
What?
At this stage, though, I will say
Cross training.
Exactly.
Cross-training.
Let's at this stage, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I think it's, again, like Rhino just said, cross training. You know how they value versatility. We saw Michael Dieter playing left tackle last year, so let's not read too much into that.
Last year was 2-3 months prior to the season. This time it's only 3-4 weeks prior to the season.
Yeah, but this 3-4 weeks is like 3 months last year. Everything's compacted.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you got to think the first, in theory, the way they structured everything now, the first 4 games of the season are technically your preseason.
At least two. At least the first two. Yeah.
At least the first 12. I'd say the first 3 just because you gotta wipe the names away. Because even if you don't, if you do, then you're actually putting more pressure on something that's never going to be a finished product that early in the season.
And so many new players.
If we come out, if in the first game against the Patriots, as long as the Dolphins can come out and show some semblance of understanding concepts and understanding exactly what's being asked of them from what they've put in installs, that's a plus. Because one, we're going into a hostile environment where they're up there anticipating coming off with the win, but we go out there and just compete. That's a plus. Even if we lose the game, I think it's valuable. It's a valuable learning experience because we got so many guys, so many new guys on this team learning new concepts that probably they never seen before because they all came from somewhere else other than Vinoy.
And new staff.
And a new staff. Yeah, some of the holdovers from last season,
right?
They're familiar with Flores now, so they kind of understand what he expects. But when you got Kruger Hill, you got Shaq Austin, you got Akbar, you got all of the new guys, the rookies. They had limited time with him too. But at this same, if we just compete, that's a plus. It doesn't matter about the wins for me because I still see us still deeply rooted in the rebuild process. If they just go out and compete and get better every game, that's a plus for me. Because at the end of the day, 7-9, 8-8 is realistic in terms of growth from one year to the other. You don't see too many teams win 5 games and go from winning 5 games to 11 games unless everybody else takes a step back. And you can't identify too many teams on our schedule that actually regressed.
The Patriots.
Other than them.
No, everyone else took a step forward.
You know what I keep hearing, ball game?
No, I'm talking about guys outside of the division. The rest of our schedule is pretty solidly laced up
the Rams.
Competitive teams.
Yeah, but your problem is too many people are starting, and I'm already hearing it way too much. People are starting to compare us to the San Francisco 49ers before they went to the Super Bowl. The year before, remember how they won the year before? But people aren't remembering they lost Jimmy G that year, okay? And they had to rely on guys like Nick Mullins. And then what did they add in the offseason? Jimmy G came back, but then they went out and added Nick Bosa to that already stacked defense. And it's just they were ready to go. It's just Jimmy G got hurt.
That's people not actually taking a real hard look at where we were. So that 49ers team, even though they weren't winning games, they still, even when they were only winning 6 or 7 games, they weren't trash. They had quality athletes still there. The only thing was that they just didn't have an identity on offense, and they had just lost their, the heart of the soul of their defense when Patrick Willis left. You know what I'm saying?
And then
that guy was Mr. Everything for them.
Yeah, and then remember Borland stepped in.
And then Borland left too. Yeah.
And he was averaging 14. Borland stepped in for Willis and was averaging like 13, 14 tackles a game.
Yeah.
And then he said,
another Wisconsin Badger as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully hopefully Van Ginkel will be.
Okay, let me ask you guys
that
this.
kind of
Let me ask you guys this because I saw a little key thing that stood out to me today. I don't know if y'all saw it. So we're obviously entering an off season that's unprecedented with COVID and players opting out that you're going to have to basically judge. Like a perfect example, Gregory Rousseau from the University of Miami. Gregory Rousseau only has one good year of film. That was last year. We had about, I believe, 15 and a half sacks, but it's clearly obvious that he's really raw. Okay, what are you going to do this year when you want to scout these type of players and when you find out that one of the reasons we passed up on TJ Watt, it came out today. The reason we passed up on TJ Watt for Charles Harris was they believe TJ Watt only had one good year of film where Charles Harris had put together multiple years on his resume at the collegiate level of good film. So entering the season where you got, for example, that guy like I just highlighted, Gregory Rousseau, who only really has one good year of film, what do you do? And people are saying top 10, where I think he's 2 or 3 years away from being a top 10 player. I don't know what people are seeing. What do you do this year when scouting is going to be the most important and you've already got the inkling from the TJ Watt situation that we're a team that we obviously hold at a higher standard, more years of quality tape than just 1 year?
Well, can I go first? Get out of the way.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I think that might hold true a lot more to the old regime than the new regime, because I think in truth, right, if a kid's put quality, even if he put quality tape together for 1 year, we've proven that we'll still go out and bring them in just to see exactly what they might have, you know what I'm saying, even if it's only just for that 1 year. You know, previously before, when Charles Harris, the regime that Charles Harris was in, all they did was rely on the tape, you know what I mean, and what they did in college, and to their I guess to their whatever. Charles Harris actually did have 2 good years, so it wasn't a bad choice. It just wasn't a choice that they should have made in terms of who they had here at the time that couldn't develop what Charles Harris brought to the table. That was the downfall of Charles Harris. They had the right pick. They just didn't have the guys here. We didn't have the guys in house to develop him because they didn't do anything with it. Now it's gonna be interesting to see what he does when he's in Atlanta. You know what I mean? That's really gonna tell the tale of how bad the organization was in terms of coaching. If Charles Harris goes up there and produces 8 or 9 sacks for the Falcons, he had it for us the entire time he was here.
That's trouble.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't think the approach should be, you know, I don't think your approach should be changed in any kind of way. I mean, you're still trying to identify what players do consistently on tape. And if you're highlighting a player, you're evaluating a player, again, your vision for that player within your scheme, you know what I mean, it doesn't change. You know, you're still trying to identify core principles that you prioritize on offense or defense, and you're still evaluating, your approach in terms of your evaluation shouldn't change. You know what I mean? Now, this COVID-19 issue it does make things, obviously, you know, in a perfect world, you would like to see these players get another year under their belt, another year of development. But I mean, you just have to, Flores said, he said, we just have to adjust. You know, this COVID-19 situation is not going anywhere. We just have to adjust accordingly. But in terms of their evaluation, what they prioritize in evaluating a player, that don't change at all.
Okay, so what would you do? Let me give you a perfect example, okay? Perfect example. It's not going to change for me. Rashad Bateman from Minnesota is my wide receiver 1 over Jamar Chase, over Jalen Waddle. What would you do if you're in a position where, okay, here's a perfect example. Give it to a defensive guy, you or ball game or whoever. Micah Parsons, okay? Micah Parsons opts out, okay? What if Dylan Moses plays, and because Alabama plays, and we all know before Dylan Moses got hurt last year ball game, you may know a little bit better than some of the people out here, Dylan Moses was projected a top 15 pick. What if Dylan Moses goes out and just balls his face off? Now you're in a position where it's Micah Parsons or Dylan Moses, and you've got consistent tape from Dylan Moses the last couple of years when he was healthy, and then you got 1 year of him balling out on top of it up against 2 really, really solid years of Micah Parsons?
That's a good question. Go ahead. Whoever. Go ahead.
I seen enough. if I'm in that position right now, bro, I seen enough of Michael Parsons, man. Last season alone, man, to tell me that. If nothing else, he hits and checks the box for me in terms of durability, toughness, football IQ, side to side, menacing defensive threat. So I don't need to think of that. I already know. All thing I have to figure out then is how I take that and apply that in my scheme. But as far as football, some kids see. Here's the thing: these guys, when they looking at these kids, man, they ranking them in 3, sometimes 4 categories. Immediate impact, prospect with high upside, normal guy can play the game but don't really know, and I'll take my chances. But if it don't work out, then oh well.
Yeah, like the third one would be like low ceiling but high floor.
Yeah. Parsons, anybody that looks at Michael Parsons right out the gate, he in that top tier.
Him and Penei Sewell is the best player. Him and Penei Sewell to me are
they're automatic NFL first starting as rookies. That's what those guys are. You're not sitting those guys. Those guys are going to play because they're essentially grown men out there already playing amongst boys. Just by their play on the field. It gets a little bit difficult, a little more difficult but even if you got a guy like the kids you're talking about, he had 15 sacks, bro. A lot of guys don't see 15 sacks in a season. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
15 sacks tells me regardless of who you're playing against, that kid can get to he can get to the quarterback. He playing the game. Now, is it against top tier competition? I don't really care about that. The fact of the matter is 15 sacks is 15 sacks.
I agree. Ozzie Newsome said that.
It's actually, hey, ball game, it's actually 15 and a half.
Okay, well, there you go. Then.
15 and a half, yeah.
No, I agree with you. You know what I think he is, ball game? I don't know if you've watched a lot of Gregory Rousseau, but he doesn't come off as transcendent to me like the Bosa's did and like Chase Young. He comes off to me as he's pretty raw, man. I get it, the competition too, but I think Gregory Rousseau is going to be one of those guys where I think he's going to be a buyer beware because he only really has.
That was a knock on Cam Wake coming out of Penn State. Raw.
Yeah.
The only difference now is that we have a coach that can take raw talent and cultivate it in house as opposed to having to go to the CFL for a couple of years and then go getting it. You see what I'm saying? So
again,
I don't know. Like he's also. I think I don't know his high school, but I know at the collegiate level he's also only really played in a 4-3 scheme as well. So I think you might have a little bit of a learning curve. I get it. But, honestly, you know what I'm going to say, ball game? Everyone in Dolphin Nation who was, really wanted Isaiah Simmons, if we get Micah Parsons, he's the better pick. Trust me. That's what
Micah Parsons is without a shadow of a doubt the better pick because he's true at the position.
Yeah.
Simmons is a hybrid, and it's tough sometimes to decide when you got a guy that's a hybrid where you want him at. Well, with Micah, you plug and play. You already know I'm putting him in the middle of my defense, and we let him eat.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
him next to Kyle Van Noy. Oh man!
I was going to say ball game. That if Raekwon wants to get paid, not only could Micah be his replacement, but let's be honest, he could be out there on run downs and pass down.
Yeah.
That kid is
coming off the field.
He's to me when I watch his film, he is without a shadow of a doubt Mike Singletary, just longer and faster.
Well, I'm not gonna go there.
No. I'm not gonna go there. That's why I'm saying that because the way he goes about reading the offensive play, bro, it's like he already know what coming before they even
right.
It's preparation. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
And Mike Singletary,
I hear you.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
So-
hear you.
Maybe I shouldn't make that type of comparison for him.
Yeah. He is.
So
I get what
guys,
you're saying.
if we get Parsons next year, where that leave Baker? Because Parsons is going to be the captain of that defense next year.
Man, please. Bro, you don't have to even wait on Micah Parsons, bro. You don't have to wait on Baker will be gone long before the end. And if I
now, it would just be good to have both of them on the field, though, because you have two people that can actually run both sides, play both sidelines of the field. It would just be perfect to have both of them.
But you got to remove Van Noy though, and that ain't going to happen.
See, listen. This is why. I keep telling y'all, and I could be totally off base about what my initial statement was about Jerome Baker's role in 2020 when they went out there and got Kamu Gruber-Hill. I'm telling you, that spelled Jerome Baker should have started looking at his watch because his time is ticking. This kid is a better athlete. This kid is he's twice the athlete Jerome Baker is. He's better in run support. He can cover. He still can cover wide receivers.
And wasn't he a safety transition to linebacker?
Exactly.
Yeah, so he can cover.
And also, he has a familiarity with Brian Flores.
He put on some weight.
Yes, he does.
What the advantage he had more than anything was the fact that somehow or another his frame allowed him to put on another 21 pounds of muscle. Because coming out of college, he was only 221. Now he 240.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
He like 240, 41, 242.
And he can play it that way.
Yeah,
he can play it that way.
Yeah.
It's one thing when players with weight fluctuation, they gain 10 pounds, 5, 10, 15, but can you play at that weight without any of your athleticism, suffering because of that weight fluctuation? This kid can play at that
I think
way.
they're trying to figure out what they got in him, though, because they only signed him to the 1-year deal, too.
Yeah,
Calvin Noy 29. Hey, gentlemen, Calvin Noy 29. So they actually, I'm telling you, Cal was brought in to teach someone that position.
Well, no, he's still a highly productive player, though. No, don't.
But that's what I'm saying, though. But
he's a teacher too. I agree.
I agree. But he's still a highly.
Who's that someone? Ball game.
I can't say, bro.
Van Ginkel or Beagle?
Yeah. If I had to choose, it'd be my guy, Van Ginkel. But
I think it's one of those two guys. I really do because it sounds like they're really, really high on Beagle.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what I saw from Van Ginkel last year, like I said this before, I saw a rarity. I saw a playmaker at that position, and that's a rare thing. A playmaker that's a linebacker
from the inside.
That's where I saw. That's where I saw against the Jets, right?
Yeah.
Against the Jets.
Yeah.
Buddy, that guy was shooting gaps, and they didn't know what was happening.
Oh yeah. And again, we talked about the improvement of that run defense, over the last, I would say, 3-4 games of the season. I don't think it was by coincidence.
He got healthy and contributed right away.
And he started playing more off the ball on the interior.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's not by coincidence. And I'm telling you, Jerome Baker's role, I just can't find a role for him. His MO is coverage, and the dude is, he's graded one of the worst coverage linebackers in the NFL last year. You know what I mean? We all know how hard he is in the run game. I mean, what role does he have? I mean, really, I'm not being funny. I'm trying to find a role for Jerome Baker in his defense, and I can't do it.
Wingstop hiring, he can join Hollins.
No. You're not talking about Matt Hollins.
Here's the thing. If anybody going to find a role for him, it'll be Flores because the dude played 97.6% of all.
And again, you had the 32nd ranked worst, and a lot of that falls on Jerome Baker's shoulders.
It's 10 other guys out there with him.
Listen. He was the captain of that defense. He was making the calls. Obviously, he made too many incorrect ones, which attributed to that 32nd.
I don't know about that. Then we the whole season where Rashad Jones refused to play because the call that came in from the sideline he didn't agree with. Sometimes the call from the sideline ain't necessarily the right call either.
That one last year.
Patrick Graham made a whole bunch of crazy ass calls.
Listen. Rashad Jones never had that responsibility to make in-game adjustments. Jerome Baker had.
He was a back end captain.
No, Jerome Baker. We all, let's be real. We all know leading into week 1 last year how they were trying to make Jerome Baker the centerpiece of this defense. We saw that early on, and we saw the results we got because of that.
No other linebacker was stepping up neither. He was the only one that was making strides to try to be the leader on the defense. So,
but at the end of the day, I don't. You can try all day. You can try all day, but if you don't have it, you don't have it.
But to play devil's advocate,
the lack of talent on defense. You got to go back to the lack of talent on defense as well.
Won't an improved defensive line possibly help Baker?
Yeah, they would have if they had done that.
Just to play devil's advocate.
I mean, come on, guys. The guys was getting manhandled by a freaking offensive line as soon as he get in the trenches. As soon as he get in the trenches, he was getting thrown around like a rag doll.
Oh my God.
Here's the kicker. Whose responsibility is it to keep the linebackers clean?
There you go. All agree
that they did a horrible job with that as well.
Well, let me
I understand ball game.
Okay.
I understand ball. Go ahead, yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Okay. To your point, ball game. It is on the defensive lineman. Okay. But why did Raekwon McMillan have a high level of success in that same role when he was actually on the field? Because the only reason why they gave that responsibility, let's be real, to Jerome Baker was because of the durability concerns with Raekwon McMillan. Why was Raekwon so much more productive in that role?
Because if we're gonna go back to the basics, then that's because that's Raekwon's natural position.
Thank you. It's not Jerome Baker, and this goes back to my point. What role does Jerome Baker have in his defense?
Baker was a natural outside linebacker at Ohio State.
I agree. In a 4-3 scheme.
Yeah.
He was a natural will linebacker in a 4-3 scheme. That's right. That is his best, in my opinion, scheme to play in. But again, it's just like Josh Rosen. If they had that kind of
don't do that. We're not going there.
We're not going there. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, just like we've been consistent about, if the Dolphins had that level of faith in Josh Rosen being the franchise quarterback, there would have been no need to select a quarterback number 5 overall in the draft.
And I don't agree with it.
You can't say
that's easy. Over people. We got enough people here. Everyone wait their turn. He wasn't done his point. Finish your point, and then you can go.
Sorry. Hang on, let me make it. All right, here we go. Just like Jerome Baker, if they had that level of faith in Jerome Baker being a key contributor in this defense, there would have been no need to bring in 5 other linebackers this year. There would have been no need. So I'm just saying.
Daniel,
you
always have them.
Go ahead, Daniel.
D, as you say that though, you got to think about what the Redskins did. I remember the Redskins drafted what's his name? The dude from Baylor. The kid
RG2.
RG3. They drafted RG3 in that same draft. They drafted Kirk Cousins from Michigan State. So you can't say you always drafted better. That position always have competition.
No. Correct.
Competition.
Can I say?
I agree. Hang on one second. Let me address his statement real quick. The only reason why they selected Kirk Cousins in the same draft is because Kyle Shanahan did not want to draft RG3 in the first place. That was an owner's pick.
Yes,
his guy was Kirk Cousins. That's who he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So let's be real. Let's be factual here.
So
that's the reason why they selected 2 quarterbacks in the same draft. It wasn't because of bringing confidence. No, that was an owner's pick, and his guy was Kirk Cousins.
Go ahead, Rhino.
No, I was just say Damien. Damien had the floor.
Oh, I'm just piggybacking on EM. That's 100% fact. Being a native Washingtonian, Daniel Snyder was pushing the draft. RG3. Actually, Shanahan's first pick for quarterback was Ryan Tannehill. That's who he wanted.
Yeah.
That's who he wanted.
That's correct.
So Kirk Cousins was just the secondary option because everybody knew the durability issues with Robert Griffin III, and also him being able to handle that offensive playbook because Shanahan had to switch up his whole offensive scheme to fit Robert Griffin III.
And Damian, that jersey is on fire. That's my favorite.
I got it when I got it from Hard Rock last year.
That is my favorite jersey.
Marino.
Stand up, bro. Stand up. Show me
The diamond year, baby. Diamond year.
Dinosaur Marino, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah, man.
That's what's up.
Love my fans. Love my fans. Waiting on the Tua jersey to come, man.
So am I, bro. December 1st, apparently.
God damn, man.
I got my second shirt a couple days ago.
2020 or 2021?
Yeah, no, 2020. It's an awkward throwback, and I literally ordered it 20 minutes after they hit the website, like when they first released. And I'm still sitting here waiting. Like, what is this?
I had to get a custom from NFL Shop and, just get the name and stuff on it. That was the only thing I could find. That was $4 fucking bills.
I got a question to ask y'all real quick. With our defense, and I seen them talking to Brian Jones, who do y'all think will be guarding the number one corners or the number one wide receiver? Who will be our number one corner on our defense?
Byron.
Even though Byron Jones played the second corner, he always played number 2 corner. Always, his whole career. Even last year with Dallas, his whole year with the Cowboys, he either played free safety or he played number 2 corner. They had that Ginobili kid.
But you just answered your question. Last year he was more of a hybrid player between safety and corner. This year he's just going to be straight corner.
No, last year he played straight corner too. The year before he was between a hybrid and a free safety. Then they took him from the hybrid spot and played him at corner. Then last year he played the full season at corner 2 position, and he got the stats that he got.
No, I thought Byron Jones played. I thought he took on that. He assumed that responsibility of opposing team, the number 1 wide receiver.
No, it was Ginobili on the Cowboys, number 24.
I'm gonna have to look at some film after that. I can't really answer that. I could have sworn he was covering number 1 last year.
Yeah, he covered Devontae. He covered Parker in that game. In all the Skins game, he covered the kid from Oklahoma. From Ohio State.
Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, that's who we covered for all the Skins games.
And that was their number 1 receiver.
That's their number 1. That's their number 1.
Look at when they played Houston, Texas. I saw that game. I know
he covered Hopkins
all day.
All day long.
Travel with him all day. You look at the tape. Because my cousin is a huge Dallas Cowboy fan, so I promise you, they want the Tavon Diggs kids to be the number 1 corner, which is trash. But I promise you, Byron Jones he never, since his whole career, and I promise you this, he never played the number 1 corner in his whole position. He always played number 2 corner in their scheme. Last year they played cover 2. That's why they look the way they look.
I think that if Byron does cover the number 1 corner, which I believe he will, with Xavier Howard's ball skills and him being a ball hawk, I think he can up his interception numbers like how he did in 2018 because a lot of balls are going to get thrown his way because he's going to be covering the number 2 option and number 1 option. I believe Jones is going to take away. So I think it'll service us better if Jones is covering the number 1 wide receiver.
And honestly, the coach can make a choice. It depends on the offense we play game by every week.
Yeah.
It could be the quarterback we play. It could be the wide receiver we play. Like prime example, we played Josh Allen this year. Don't be surprised if Xavier Howard is covering the number 1 wide receiver.
But do we do that?
Matchup based.
Do we do that?
Because of the speed and the way he can cut out his route.
Well, it's in terms
that matchup will fit Jones better against Diggs.
I just pulled up highlights and I'm only at the Redskins game. It looks like in the Giants game they had him on Evan Ingram a lot. Right now, I've watched about 4 plays against the Redskins, and 3 out of the 4 have been on McLaurin, and the one that wasn't, they were in a zone, and he just moved up on a guy who kind of caught an underneath mesh concept. So from what I've seen so far, they've had him. I'm just watching through it. I'm just watching highlights. I'm not actually diving into film right now. So I'm just seeing where his highlights came from. And look, right now, so far, I mean, we could make the argument that Evan Ingram is the number 1 receiver, even if he is a tight end.
But do we on Dolphins D? Do we play sides or do we put our corners on the number 1 or number 2?
They follow.
I
So
think
everybody switch sides to
everybody
follow the
travels.
receiver.
They get the
Everybody
game plan
travels.
through the week, and once they get the assignment of who they have for that week, they follow,
Yeah.
man. It don't matter.
Nice.
Everybody travels.
They travel.
I love
Yeah, they
this
do.
game, man.
So
They
I will
travel.
say this: I've watched I'm on the Dolphins game right now. I've watched. I'm watching the third snap right now, and let me tell you, Rosen's rolling out. Obviously picked off a tip by 20. So all three of them were all three of those snaps. He was covering Preston Williams.
Yeah.
I
He
got
was
a
our number
question.
2. He was our number 2. Devontae Parker was the number. Devontae was always our number 1.
Was he
Well,
though?
really?
Beginning of the year?
Really?
Was he though?
I mean, what's early on?
I mean, hold up. That
Early
could
on?
change week by week. I mean, Preston wasn't really number 2 last year. I mean, by the time they played us, was really
Parker
Preston
wasn't
number
doing
2?
that good at the beginning
Think about
of the
it.
year. He wasn't.
No.
Yeah. So
You can make a legitimate case that
Number 1.
early on last year. You can make a legitimate argument.
Check this
He was
out.
leading all
Looking
rookies.
like our number 1, but on paper,
Yeah.
Devontae Parker was the number 1.
The Jets,
But I don't-
against the Jets, he was up against Robbie Anderson, and against the
That's their
Eagles.
one.
Against the
That
Eagles,
was
they
their
had
number 1.
against the Eagles, they had him up against Ertz. And then I'm
That's
watching
their
the
best.
Lions. The
That's
Lions
their best.
and Lions against the Lions, he was up against Kenny Galladay.
That's their
That's
best.
their number
That's
one.
their
That's their
one.
number
That's our
1.
number 1.
So like I said,
And
it's
Marvin
going to go
Jones
by.
Jr., I mean, both of them depends on the day. Marvin
Yeah,
Jones
it's-
Jr.
it's-
is what Kenny Galladay.
For
It's
sure.
going to go by week by week.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because that's the thing. You literally have 2 number 1s. You can just go matchup based. Who
Yeah,
match?
you can.
They get their assignment. They get their assignment from the film study. When they go in the film on Tuesday, they watch the game from the week before. Well, they watch it at home on Monday when they rest. And Tuesday they come in, they get their assignment for the next week. And they get Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to study their opponent to that point. So they going man. They know from Tuesday when they show up who they got for the next week, what guy they got, and then they travel. And it ain't gonna matter because at the end of the day, you still have 2 guys that excel at man coverage. The only difference between the 2 of them is Howard is a little bit more of a ball hawk than Jones is, but they both pretty much erase their receiver from the equation. So that means that whoever playing slot and whoever playing coverage linebacker spot, those
Action.
spots are the ones that become more important than the guys on the boundary.
I know it's so sensitive. I don't know how many of y'all are on Dolphins
Need 'em.
Twitter. I don't know how many of y'all are on Dolphins Twitter, but it was blowing up a couple days ago when that Minka Fitzpatrick story dropped. I don't.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of people are sensitive, but yo, if we had Minka back there, we would have the nastiest secondary in the NFL, bro.
And that's why
I just don't know how they could have. I don't know what Flores could have done anything other than, you know what I mean? He told the kid, like, listen, bro, this is why he went man to man to him and said, I need you to do these things because I believe you can do them. I don't understand what else he could have did different because as a coach,
Well, did you read?
man.
Hold on a sec. Did you read the article, ball game?
Yeah, I did, man.
See, to me, it looked like the turning point was he kept saying to him, "Yo, give me reps at free safety. Give me reps at free safety." And then that practice happened. They said, "Yo, we'll give you reps." They gave him like a series of reps, and they put him back. And then I think the turning point was when they threw him up at free safety to start the season. He had no reps there, and he says in the article, "I didn't know how to communicate with the guys around me, and some guys around me I didn't even know." Like,
This is what
the problem was.
This is what Flores should have done. This would have been the perfect remedy to that whole scenario. You have to, and again, I'm not, we all know how I feel about him as a coach. Yeah. But if early on, if Flores deserves any criticism, it would be this Minka Fitzpatrick situation. But what he should have foreseen, he should have made the move to Eric Rowe first in that Rashad Jones type of role, and he should have just put Minka back there at free safety.
Yeah.
Just think of where we would be right now if he would have saw that.
Oh my
God. Made that move.
I got a question.
Oh my God, bro.
I got 2 questions for
I
the
feel
panel.
you, but we wouldn't have got half the players we got today.
Yep. I got two questions for the panel.
I mean,
one player really.
yes, one player.
Yeah, one player really.
No, it could have been quite a few players. It could have been quite a few players. We'd have had a better record. We would have got Tua. We wouldn't probably make some of these trades. Trust me, it would have been quite a few players if Minka was back there.
I have two questions for the panel. Being that last year we were so short-handed to start the season, and Flores went to him as a man and like, I need you to do this for the betterment of the team. Isn't that the same argument we had with Josh Rosen earlier about being entitled, coming to a team, especially as a rookie, and being entitled on like trying to dictate what should be done, him being a rookie? I'm just asking. And I got one more question. One more. And then I got one more after that. If we do struggle at the free safety position this year, not saying Byron Jones, is it a possibility that we could put Nick Needham in that position since we'd acquired so many extra cornerbacks and put Noah at the third corner? I'm just shooting that out to the panel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a possibility. You know how this staff, loves to convert cornerbacks to safeties. I mean, I think everything is on the table, to be honest with you. But is it likely, highly likely? No, I don't think this year is the move to do that. I think Needham value is. I think Needham value is at cornerback this year.
Especially if X is hurt.
I agree with you, Ian. But I think Bobby McCain gonna get pushed out of that position. To be honest with you.
By who?
Yeah.
Adrian Colbert.
Colbert, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Colbert, the natural.
He stay healthy.
Yeah. Huh?
Colbert, the athletic kid, right?
Yeah.
Can he stay healthy?
The 4-3-3 kid from San Francisco. He's as healthy as he's ever been right now, though. And he got healthy at the right time. So
where that put McCain ball game?
What do you mean?
On the bench.
Put Bobby back down in his natural spot where he must be.
No, hell no.
No, that's going to take reps away from Igbenogany.
I don't like Bobby, man.
You're right. He got paid for being a slot corner. He got paid for being a really good slot corner at the time when he was being a slot corner for us.
But we got a cheaper option, brother. A more athletic person and a faster person.
And also, we're not going to release him because he's going to hit our books. We're not going to do that.
Listen, you saw
that doesn't equate to better. Bobby McCain made his money in the slot.
But look,
exactly.
This kid
I'm listening.
He has added weight. Okay, you saw how he struggled covering tight ends last year. You really want him cover? You really want to put him down as? You really want to put him down as our third best in that slot role over Nick Needham or a thoroughbred like Noah Igbenogany?
I would trust the guy to play in the position that he has played the most, and he got the most reps in there. That's why we signed him. We signed him because
Mike Tannenbaum gave him that.
Yeah, we spent the #1 pick on Noah Igbenogany, man.
T-Bum. Nah, bro.
You do realize that, right? In the dime formation, there are 6 DBs on the field, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And in the nickel formation, there are 5.
Yeah.
And in the quarter formation, there's 7. So
right.
We're gonna see all of these exotics. So all these dudes gonna get a chance to play. But when you really look at what Bobby McCain does well, Bobby McCain works the best down in the slot. He's not a boundary guy, and he's not a free safety. He's a slot cornerback.
I would put him the only way. I would whenever we opt to deploy zone coverage, that's the role I would entertain implementing Bobby McCain. But man principles, absolutely not. Absolutely.
Yeah, I see Bobby get burnt a lot of Yeah, I'm sorry, ball game, but a lot of man coverage in slot year before last, he was getting burnt, man.
Like we played Denver, somebody like that can throw 3 or 4 wides. Man.
No, I'm not saying obviously the staff likes him, but if it was me, if I had my way, I would deploy him more in zone whenever we opt to deploy zone coverage. Because he's better in zone coverage than he is in man
on the sideline a lot. Because I don't really see a lot of that being done unless it's like 3rd and forever, prevent, something like that.
I'm gonna take
up in people's grid square, bro.
I'm gonna take my chances with these young thoroughbreds with Needham or Ibenagany in that slot role.
I think if you really want to flex, if you really truly want to flex, and if it was me, I would go with a rotation where it included moving Jones off of the boundary back to the perch, and then putting Needham out on the edge opposite X, and then putting Noah inside, and then we're still solid because then you got Rowe at strong safety, Jones at free safety, which he's played and logged hours at, and it's really his natural position anyway. Dallas moved him to the corner because of their need for a cornerback, and he was adept to being able to switch and stuff. But he's a real free safety. And you still got X on one side locking up. Needham has proven to you that he can deal with a lot of teams' number ones, and he's really adept at dealing with the number two. And then you got Noah in the slot.
That was going to be the most expensive safety in history.
No, fine though, because he's not. That's not saying he's staying there. That's saying that on third and long, in situations where you really need to be able to dictate them not getting the ball back, you put your best guy. You know what I mean? Because teams gonna be looking to take a shot. Who you want to trust more back there? They ain't gonna be throwing no 5-yard out. They trying to get that 20-yard dig. They trying to get that dig. You know, they trying to get that post across the middle. I would trust Jones to be back there.
I think we can see unconventional. I think, I look forward to seeing them unconventional type of those personnel groupings like that this year. That's what, in addition to Tua Tagovailoa, that's what I'm most excited about seeing this year. Those personnel groupings like that, how they secondary, all of them, how to integrate, how to implement all of these. What
if they try to convert? What if they try to convert a guy like who they just picked up because when they waived Stephen Parker and the Bryce Stirk experiment, they picked up Dietrich Nichols, and we're talking about a guy who's got he's been recorded as pro day at the UCF Pro Day. He was recorded with 4.32 40-yard speed. He played a little safety, I believe, back in college too. What if they try? What if they're looking? I don't think. What was the name of that other guy they got? Breon Borders. I think he's a 4.49 guy, just under 4.5. So he looks like, and he plays a lot in the slot. Like he's a specialist in the slot. He might be a body, but what if they take a guy like Dietrich Nichols and they try and move him and they
to
try
safety?
That safety because he's not
safety though, bro. The skill set's different. That's a lot more. You asking a guy to actually be able to truly be fluid in space.
He played in college.
Have really good hip turn, sit, punch, and blast off speed. You know what I mean? Change the direction like that to get back over the top. Their job is to do two things: make sure they're the deepest of the deep and keep everything in front of them and separate receivers from the ball. So you don't necessarily have to be over the top speeds to play safety. You just gotta be smart and be able to identify and recognize where that ball at and get over the top of it and pick it up. And most safeties sitting 12, 15 yards off anyway. So I ain't saying you can have a slug bug back there. But a guy ain't got to be sub 4.4 speed to play it effectively. Look at Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas ain't ran a 4.4 in God knows how long.
Well, all due respect to the great Earl Thomas. I mean, coming out of Texas, that dude had, he's clocked in the 4.3s. So he might not be that player now, but as
a player gets older and those skill sets diminish, what do they rely on?
Well, it's the same thing as mechanics.
I agree.
It's the same thing with mechanics.
I agree.
But it's read and recognition too. But what I'm saying is he's played safety at the collegiate. He played safety in collegiate level as well. So he's played the position. And he also has a 37-inch vertical. So he's kind of like a crazy athlete, too. So, maybe it could be one of those guys that they're trying out to see what they have. I'm not saying
it's going to be Colbert, man. Colbert the freak of nature, bro, when he healthy, bro. Trust me. That dude run. Colbert, he run like a gazelle. He jump out the gym. He just got to stay healthy. He do that. Yeah. The job is his. And he hits. And he hit like a freight train.
The problem is we can't believe any of these guys because 3 months ago, Xavier Howard's putting up videos in his garage saying he's gonna change the game this year. Next thing you know, he's getting put on the PUP list when before the shells and the helmets even come on, bro. Like
I think X's replacement was drafted this year. In the first
That's to
round.
save him from himself, man. Because anybody, you know as well as I do, anytime you have an injury, the first thing you want to do is come back out there and prove to everybody that you still that dude that you were before you left. So the coaches are just being smart and putting parameters in place to save him from himself.
Exactly. It's precautionary, I think.
Yeah.
I hope.
Why they didn't do that with Preston Williams then?
What you mean with Preston? What Preston do? Preston
Everybody.
No. See, here's the difference though. Preston got hurt. The next week, Preston had his surgery. X got hurt and waited down until the end of the season to have his surgery. Big difference. Preston had way more recovery time.
Why did he do that? Why did X do that, you think?
Who knows, bro? I can't even begin to speculate why he did it, but it screwed him because he'd have had more time to actually rehab.
Yeah.
Preston got on it quick. Plus, I don't think the procedure that he had was. I think it wasn't as invasive as you got to think. X has 3 knee surgeries now.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of messed up stuff going on.
Exactly. I think more than anything, it's the track record of durability concerning.
I don't think he's going to be there.
That's why he's
year.
on there.
I think they drafted his replacement this year.
Maybe,
I think his replacement was already on the roster.
Nah, his replacement. Needham was already on the roster.
That's right.
No playing slack.
Bro, I'm just telling y'all right now. I hollered at shout out to Shannon. I hollered at Nick's mother like 2 days ago, and I told her, I said, "Yo," I DM'd her and I said, "Yo, just so you know," because I shared a video on Twitter of Nick Needham blowing up the tackling machine, and I hit her up and I just said, "Yo, I want you to know, me and my co-hosts were huge fans, and tell that boy to go out there and get that Pro Bowl." Because a lot of people. That's my thing. I like Noah Benogany. I love the profile, but I'll keep saying it. People need to stop sleeping on Nick Needham because he's gonna wake people up.
That dude.
Games.
That dude. Again, he didn't. He wasn't Jalen Ramsey last year.
He did everything I needed.
But to come from where he was undrafted and then off the practice squad. And to get that kind of production from that kid last year, okay, assuming the number one, the opposing team, number one wide receivers every single week. I was telling you all year long, Morgan, you push back on him. Let's be real. You was pushing back on him.
I had to because I saw flaws in his footwork and I saw things that he was doing, but he fixed them.
That's natural for a rookie, though. That's natural for a rookie.
He fixed them.
He looked and we talk about Tua putting on weight. Look at the weight that this dude is upper body. The weight that he's put on. And again, if there was a weakness that I saw on tape was that early on he struggled winning at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
So he's putting on that weight, his hand placement and his functional strength, according to his size and the way he looks now, looks like he's addressing those head on this offseason.
Let me ask you guys this, because we've been talking about size and guys putting on weight and it affecting their athleticism or their speed. Injuries aside, leave injuries on the shelf. Do you think that, because this is another thing that I don't think a lot of people are highlighting, and this is another reason why I'm not worried about him. Am I the only one who thinks Cam's bulked up way too much for that position? Like, he's carrying a lot of extra weight now for a guy who's, we get it. If it's first, second read, short, rhythmic passing, but if not, he relies on his athleticism to make something happen.
You mean his hair?
Well, I was talking about, look at the size on its upper body, man.
No, you're making a good point.
He looks the same to me, Reason.
Are you serious, bro? This guy looks like he's a bodybuilder now, bro.
He's more lean. He's more shredded.
He looks leaner. He looks leaner.
Yeah, it's more lean.
I don't know, man. The body looks like ripped.
Cam is he's always been rocked up like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. He looks bigger to me. He looks bigger to me, man. Look, Havoc said there, Cam looks like he's trying to run over guys again.
Well, he won't play. He won't last more than 4 days.
Do that.
That'll be over with for him. So
he's Superman.
Yeah.
No, not no more. Superman left. Superman left.
Building.
It's
not 2015. I'm sorry.
Superman left the building a long time ago.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, last year he kind of played like Lois Lane. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not.
All right,
Not
fella,
wrong
I'm
from-
out, yo. I
no.
got some stuff I need to take care of. Y'all be good.
Nice meeting you,
All right,
ball
ball game. All right, ball
All
game.
Good seeing you, ball game.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, ball game.
All right, now.
Boo. Got quiet.
Everybody got quiet.
Come on, D82. Stir it up.
Josh
stir it
Rosen,
up.
man.
Here we go.
I don't want to hear no more Josh Rosen, man. I'm
Listen,
sick of Josh Rosen. I'm sick of Josh Rosen.
Let's be real. Hey, let's be real. You know, I don't know why that video, why I saw it earlier, but the video he put up about Rosen.
Humility. Let's just
about the humility. Bro, that really bothers me, man. I don't know why. I mean, I was like, listen to this clown, bro. You know
the funny.
I'm gonna make sure I got passed up, and I'm gonna make sure I make all these 7 other teams pay for it for the next decade.
But you can have that
on,
attitude.
bro.
You can have that attitude, but you don't need to tell everyone. I don't know.
He's taking it from Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers said the same thing basically. But the thing is, he's not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers showed it in Cal when he beat USC, when USC was at top of their game. This dude was never Aaron Rodgers. He had one damn good game against Texas A&M on a Sunday night, and that was it.
I know y'all love the quarterback position because of Tua, but honestly, I never seen y'all really touch on the running back positions too often.
Because there's nothing really that
we set.
Yeah, it's pretty much set.
We talk about the running backs all the time. What you talking about?
Before the draft, we did.
Yeah, before the draft. But after we got Breida and Howard, it's been silent. Like everybody.
No, we've been talking about.
We talk about Balaj. No, I asked that.
No, y'all talk about Bumlage all the time. Where everybody knows nobody want Balaj on the team.
You mean like Laird and
Gaskins?
We talk about them all. We talk about them all the time, bro. I mean, really.
We talked about Laird. Like that's been the whole debate. Who's going to be your running back 3, Laird or Balaj?
Patrick Laird.
Beat him out. He showed some flashes.
He did. I love Laird. I
and he showed hands.
Laird's skill set.
Reason.
Oh yeah.
He showed hands. Yes,
well, you know what? You know what pissed me off? He showed me hands when everyone was telling me Balaj was the one who had the hands, bro. I was like,
who told you that?
That's another guy living off of a couple of big games in college.
Yeah, that Minnesota game. That Minnesota game.
I understand that the Balaj shade. I understand, but
yeah, because even you yourself have called it a historically bad running game. 1.8 yards is clearly what you're referring to, bro.
He deserves criticism, just like the lineman and every other running back. But I loved what Laird. I love the way Laird flashed at times last year. I love his skill set. He has wide receiver hands. Okay, he might not be. He's like, kind of similar to Malcolm Perry. They're not the fastest guys in terms of their long speed. They're 40.
They're nifty,
but they're very good in space. You know what I mean? They can make guys miss, and they have.
Remind me of Patriots type of running back.
Yeah, and Laird's vision is very good as well. So
you talking Woodhead?
Patrick
Laird. Woodhead.
Mm-hmm.
Guys who can catch like Burkhead, all those type of guys, man, that are consistent, can give you something. They're not great at one. They're just good enough in a lot of things, instead of being great at one thing.
And I'm saying this, but y'all can't really sleep on Balaj like that because Balaj only had about 70-something carries, and if you break it down, he had probably about 6 touches a game. If you break what can you do?
There's a reason for that, though.
6 touches a game, so you can't really blame him in a sense. Bro, we got to really wait.
Have you really trying to see Balaj trying to run behind the line last year?
But listen. Here's the thing.
Line that was trash.
Listen. Here's the thing with this line, okay? If they are truly transitioning to primarily that power gap scheme, I keep telling people that is in terms of the running backs read, the read is somewhat simplified.
Yeah, because he doesn't have good vision from the backfield at all.
Exactly. So listen, if you have guys that can actually move people, I mean, you have a guy now. Again, Balaj, he needs refinement, and I'm not saying this kid is he's going to be a Pro Bowl. He's Christian McCaffrey, but the struggles I see more so with the most with Balaj are obviously his hands, and he does not play consistently underneath his pads. And you see a guy that's 237 pounds. You know, I don't understand why he has that issue, but you can say he's a taller player, and generally taller players struggle with pad level. So if they can coach that, out of him and get him more consistent, I think with the gap scheme, with people that can actually create holes for him, you get that 240-pound freight train going north and south as opposed to east and west. Balaj can contribute.
Well, and here's the other.
Doesn't he shy away from contact a lot for that size?
Yeah, he ducked passes, if you remember correctly. But here's a perfect example. Look at when he played in Indianapolis, right? They did give him a 20 carry workload, and all he turned out was 43 yards.
Absolutely disgusting.
But that line, though, come on, man. The line was just 100-year history graded out. The worst line in 100+ year history of the league.
Now he's the only one who didn't show flashes at all. The kid that used to get in trouble a lot showed flashes. Laird showed flashes. This guy never showed flashes.
Walton averaged 3 yards.
This guy ain't showed nothing.
But look, it's like the Charles Harris. Charles Harris is a very good comparison in terms of not being. He was in the wrong scheme. He's terrible with his hand placement. He doesn't have very good upper body strength. So you're going to deploy him in a 2-gap scheme, and you're going to expect to get production out of him in that role. It's the same situation with Kalen Balaj. You put him in a role again with these linemen can actually move people, and you get him going north and south with fullback following a fullback. You know what I mean? With halfback blast plays. Schemes that are.
Here's the thing, Yam. Normally, guys who don't have vision that can find holes themselves, create holes themselves, usually they don't end up being anything more than, a running back 3 or a running back 4, bro. And I think that's what you're starting to see. Because again, another thing people kept highlighting about him was his ability to catch the football. He didn't display that last year when we he was the perfect picture of, you could see it in his eye. He was already thinking about either the contact that was about to happen or what he was going to do after he had the ball before he even had the ball in his hands.
Just think about
I think most of his issues were mental last year. Like a lot of players early on, and then he got hurt, went on IR in the 4th game of the season.
Will he make the team? Will he make this squad this year?
Man.
That's the $1 million question.
Will he make it? Balaj does play special teams, so
he was against he had 3 attempts against Philadelphia, bro.
Will he make the team?
Week 13.
That's a good question.
So I mean, he can't.
Will he make the squad?
You know what? Flores, they love him, bro. They love him.
Yeah, they do love
him. I think they will take another flyer on that skill set.
Look how loaded we are. Running back. I mean, you drafted Malcolm Perry. He's going to be a running back.
Malcolm Perry will not be playing running back for this.
But he's listed as
he could be a Kevin Falk type of running back. Remember what scheme they're coming from. Remember what type of system.
Stop.
Catching out the back.
Really?
Catching out the backfield. I'm talking about that skill set. Receiving out the backfield. Being a receiver. Like a Darren Sproles.
I think he's listed right now, but obviously you saw the article. They're training him to be a slot receiver, and you see the Wes Welker and Julian Edelman comparisons. I said that from day one.
You saw that throw. You saw that throw he called from Tua in the clip today.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was Perry right there, number 10.
Yeah.
He could do that coming out the backfield too.
Well, I'll say this. I think they're taking a flyer. They're going to take another flyer on those traits up into training camp. I don't know if he's going to be on the roster.
Yeah, but even Alan Pupar, who obviously covers the team closely, he said, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not on the roster come September. So he did say that they'll at least give him training camp It's just he doesn't know if he's going to make it out of training camp.
Who, Perry Reason?
What?
Malcolm Perry?
No,
Caleb
Ballard.
Ballard.
Okay, Caleb Ballard.
I can't go there.
We're about 2.5 hours in. It's 11 o'clock. Let's get some final thoughts. DM, we'll start with you.
No, man, just want to appreciate everybody. First off, Dolphreaky, Miss Goodman.
Amazing.
I apologize again for my tardiness. But yeah, I'm glad you showed up, and man, that was a killer show, killer interview. Reason, kudos to you, bro. Shout out to you. But appreciate everybody else coming on the panel as always, and you know, your contributions is not overlooked, underlooked, whatever, overlooked. But yeah, just appreciation to everybody. Rhino, you already know what it is. Dolphin 82, everybody in the comments, you know what it is. Fins up, baby.
Damien, go ahead.
Man, great show as always, man. Great interview, Reason, man. Great insight, EM, from everybody, man. It was just great, and I just appreciate, man, being a part of the Dolphins family, man, and participating. Fins up.
And hold on, let me see who's next. Daniel, go ahead.
I just appreciate being on the show, and I appreciate y'all for just having the show and being able to talk Dolphin football really. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries, bro.
You're welcome, bro.
I love having you on, bro. You've been a good guest since you started coming on a little bit more. Dolphin 82, what's good, homie?
Hey, good interview, man. Good show, man. Can't wait for the next show, man. Hopefully it comes on soon.
Rhino, what's good, homie?
I don't know why, but today all the videos coming out, man, it just kind of hit me. We're going to have football, and it feels really good. Really, really good. I can't wait. And you guys are the best. Reason that was a really good interview the last 2 nights. Keep it up, man.
Appreciate
and
it.
Thank you, Ian.
Oh, you're welcome, bro. You already know.
Guys, I'm going to put up here for the guys who haven't read it. I know I said I'd do it today, but I'll do it tomorrow. I'll put it in the community tab. If you haven't, head over to thebrawlnetwork.com. Just go under the Miami Dolphins, and it'll be one of the first articles that pops up. Go check out my article if you haven't. The Fantastic Four. I highlight Benito Jones, Kirk Merritt, Donald Stanley, and also Matt Cole with an honorable mention to Tyshawn Render. A lot of good little nuggets in here. I think it'll get you some of you guys more familiar with these UDFAs than you currently are. So, I mean, I think it's worth the click. I'll put it in our community tab tomorrow. But if you haven't, just head over there to the Brawl Network, go under Miami Dolphins, and you'll find my article there. I appreciate all the support and all the love that people have shown, man. So yeah, we don't know when we'll be back. I guess we'll talk about that, and we'll let y'all know, and we'll keep y'all updated. But until then, as always, y'all already know what it is. Fins up all day, every day, and we'll see all of y'all